Welcome back to No Cap SEC. I'm your host, Jason Watkins, here with my special guest from the FanAttic Sports Network, Coach I. What's up, Coach I? How you doing, man?
What's going on, man? Hey, another day. Glad it's the weekend. Ready to talk some ball.
Heck yeah, man. We're going to have a couple other guys probably pop in here in a few minutes, but wanted to get in here and meant to be in here last night, man. I've been burning the wick at both ends for a couple of weeks, and I just kind of passed out last night and stayed sleeping. Didn't make it here, so I'm working triple time today. Hope everybody's excited about being in here. Thanks for coming in, everybody that's here. Bishop Frank, Sooner Lemon, of course, Coach I and Timothy Green. You guys make sure you share, like, go to all the guys that are going to be streaming at Coach I's page, especially. Make sure you're doing that, Coach I. Well, before we jump into that too, let's tell everybody about what we got going on with obviously the second year. This is your third year of the snap count, right? We're going to be doing Saturday night snap count starting out.
Yeah, man. June 22nd, snap counts coming back. Third season. Got a panel of 8 good people, content creators. Man, listen, we're gonna get into it, man, because it's a lot of anticipation for this upcoming season. A lot of changes in college football. Hey, man, it's ready to get it on. To be honest with you, it should be
all changes, ain't it?
right before all the media days start up in July. You know what I'm saying? So that should be a fun one. You know what I'm saying? Over on the FanAttic Sports Network, June 22nd, we're getting it started.
Exciting stuff, man. It was one of my favorite things last year to being on that show, and I mean, because and we're all the kind of guys. The guys that you got coming in, we're all the guys that are going to sit there the entire day, and watch ball games the entire day. Right. And now that you got so many games going on Thursdays and on Fridays and all that other stuff, we're going to be able to do what we love it, man. It's just going to be a weekend full of college football. Can't be bad. We brought up a couple of different things, and honestly, I wanted to get your opinion on a couple of things, but I may wait on that first topic we were talking about a little bit. Let's go ahead and
let's open up with the Big 12 contenders, since we're waiting on some people. Then we finish off with the rivalry stuff.
I like it. Big 12 contenders. Even though this is an SEC show, we should probably talk about that. There's because of everything is super different. You've got 4 new teams after adding 4 new teams last year into the Big 12. I know a lot of people believe that this is going to be the most competitive league as far as parity is concerned. I don't think that, there's not a team in there that I really feel like is going to really contend for the championship, or at least I just don't really see it.
Think so.
That being said,
I don't think so either.
I also think it's probably the hardest league to handicap as far as who's going to win it. I was on with Ty and them around the table sports last week. We had 7 guys on there. All but 2 of us had different answers.
Wow. Well, I think the same thing, though. I mean, you guys came from, they lost their 2 big hitters. You know what I'm saying? They lost Oklahoma and they lost Texas. So, like you say, not from where we think they're going to win the national championship standpoint, but like who's going to win it? I think I got about 4 legitimate teams that can win the Big 12, like maybe 5.
I think there's really as many as 8 or 9 teams that you could theoretically see doing it.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It really depends on health and things of that nature. If you go by what people did last year and then what they have coming back, who they added from the portal and recruiting, listen, man, it's wide open. Then people got some newfound confidence. People that couldn't beat Oklahoma, people that couldn't beat Texas, they like, well, we ain't got to beat them now. So
everybody was beating Texas for a while. But as of the last couple of years, you were starting to see them finally kind of get it back together. Welcome to the show, Coop from Unfair Sports. Good to have you back in here, Coop. What's up?
Hey guys. Well, man, I gotta say, joining fine gentlemen like you is never a bad thing.
You ain't got to lie, Craig. You ain't got to lie.
No, hopping in on that one right there. Like, I don't know if you remember going into the season last year, Jason. Everybody was like, this conference is great. Like, this is this, and I was like, who cares? Like, it's really the bless your heart conference, right? But that being said, I think that there is, like, if you're a fan of one of those teams, the new Big 12, who doesn't have a chance, right? So you've got lots of opportunity. I'm just not sure it matters. Like, just to be honest with you, I'm just not sure it matters. Like Oklahoma and Texas and any teams coming out of the Big 12 in the past, like, yeah, I mean, you saw it with TCU. You know, they came together, they beat Michigan, but you know, even most people were like, but it was Michigan. Like, did it really count as beating a big boy? But these guys are going to have to. I mean, one of these Big 12 people are going to have to come play a big boy game, and they're going to have to play in LSU and Baton or in New Orleans, or they're going to have to play somebody in an area, and it's going to be a shock because this new Big 12. What's the largest stadium? I mean, it's basically glorified high school stadiums.
That's a good question right there.
I don't know which one is the biggest one. Is it Utah?
Gotta be, it's got to be UCF.
Is the bounce houses that big in Tampa?
Well, you know what? I might be confused. They definitely they like one of the largest public universities as far as student count. So, but that might not be their. That's a good question. How many?
I'm looking at.
Yeah, that's weird. That's a good question. Why are you looking up that? What's crazy, Cooper? You be careful now. Like one of my first times on Jason's show, I said when Texas and Oklahoma leave the Big 12, who else is relevant? And when I tell you they was coming for my neck, I'm like, it wasn't that I was saying that the teams were going to be bad, but it's just like you just said, Coop. Like, I mean, prime causes a stir, so everybody cares whether you want them to win or you want them to lose. Everybody cares, but outside of that, like really, like, I mean, for lack of a better phrase, who's gonna really care? I mean, because Oklahoma and Texas are gone, and that's the point I was trying to make, 2 years ago.
Well, it is, but then like you don't have a national blue blood brand. Like Utah is kind of getting elevation, but that's not who they are. Like,
right?
They beat Alabama with Urban Meyer way back when, and that was their Boise State moment. And since then, they've put it down on Lincoln Riley, and so that kind of brought them back in. But I mean, like, you watch that opening game. Was it Florida? Was it Florida or Miami versus Utah at the beginning of the year? It's Florida. And I mean, they were. I mean, granted, they were out without starting quarterback, right? So there's that. But at the same time, I mean, that Florida team was. I mean, that's a lower SEC team, and it was every single bit about it. Just to even make that happen. So it's just there's not a blue blood. It's not like they're going to have to try to keep. They're going to have to be intentional about keeping stories out of the Big 12. They're going to have to be intentional about it. And it's going to be kind of like I mean, no offense to anybody listening, but it's like, watching like the Royals play. So, I mean, it's like, yes, those teams have fans.
No offense, but I'm going to be offensive.
Well, I mean, right.
They've won a World Series recently. So, yes, give them all their – but, like, like I'm a baseball fan. And most people can't watch baseball if it's their favorite team. I can watch any team right up here. But at the same time, you look at the stadium and there's like 14 people out there. So that's going to be an issue. And where Oklahoma State all of a sudden might be the most rowdy and ruckus environment in the new Big 12, like.
Right. Well, listen, I say that because Oklahoma State's one of the ones. I mean, and you got Colorado coming in, and Coach Prime could do some craziness, you know what I'm saying, and make the playoffs his first year. Or if Cam Rising is healthy, then it's crazy. When Cam Rising was healthy and they was in the Pac-12, which to me last year was a better conference. The year before that, outside of Texas, Oklahoma was better than the Big 12. And we would say if Cam Rising was healthy, we say, oh yeah, man, Utah for sure is going to make the championship. Now we're at a point where like, well, Utah could make it, but they're in a lesser conference. That's crazy, right? Because we don't know the status of Cam Rising.
I would say that Cam has to be very good for them to win it, but I don't think they win it because of Cam. I think that they win because they do what Utah does, and they play really good defense, and they try to run you over and do their thing that Kyle Whittingham does. But without Cam to win some of the games that they might be in a close one, I don't see Utah winning it, right? Because they don't really have anything else.
All right, who's the biggest stadium, Coop?
I'm going to start at the bottom. Tied at 15th is Cincinnati at 40,000.
Wow. Nippert's awesome. It's a different animal, though. It's loud in there. I was there last year. Cool place.
So You got that. The winner in the clubhouse is BYU at 63,000.
Get some. BYU said don't count them out, and they got a shot to win the Big 12, by the way.
Iowa State is number 2. So you got BYU at 63.4. Iowa, Jack Trice is 61.5. West Virginia, 60, but it's West Virginia. Texas Tech, 56, but it's West Texas and Lubbock. State is 55. Arizona State, 53. I mean, let's just be honest. Why read the rest of them? So you're in between 40 and 63,000. So, yeah, like those stadiums, I mean, these aren't going to be – I mean, you're going to have to fabricate an extra 50K worth of people if you have somebody big coming to your crib. So if you do one of these first-round games, 63 granny panties – listen, that's a bunch of old folks in that BYU deal because I mean they
get loud there though, bro.
No, I'm gonna tell you what, you could have gave me 3 guesses and I still would have got that wrong. That BYU is the biggest stadium in the Big 12 now. That's crazy.
I just and you saw what Arizona did. They got gutted. Yeah. I mean, Arizona got gutted, and they didn't lose everything, but it's still pretty.
No,
I mean,
they actually got a lot of it back, but their entire coaching staff is different. So with McMillan and Fafita, I think that they've got a puncher's chance. But this is why I think there's a lot of teams that could win it.
Right. So I think
if Jalen Daniels can stay healthy, there's nobody better in the conference than that guy, including Shedeur.
If my grandma had something between her left leg and her right leg, she'd be my grandfather.
You're right about that, though.
Yeah. I think I think with Shedeur and Travis Hunter, and then coming into the situation we talk about, I think their chances of winning their conference and going to the CFP is more realistic than people are giving them credit for because, I know they only won 4 games last year, but they're not playing, Bo Nix in Oregon. They're not playing, Michael Penix in Washington or whoever, that whole Arizona team with the coaches from last year. They're playing some people that are replacing some stuff too. I mean, is TCU going to be back to where they were 2 years ago, or are they going to be, the 2023 TCU?
Somewhere around there, somewhere between. I think the mean. I think it's the average on them. They've got a mercenary crew this year. They're going mercenary rewind part 3. It worked once and it didn't work twice. So we'll see.
So tell me, you guys give me your winner and give me a dark horse that you think could win it.
Okay.
Because I think there is a toss-up of guys that could do it, man. I'll tell you who I think.
Right. So like I say, I really do think there's 4 or 5 teams that could legitimately win it. Not like hot takes and all of that stuff. But if everybody's healthy and all the coaches show up on time at the beginning of the season, I think Oklahoma State can win the Big 12. I really do. I know, Jason. I know. I think they can. Because I like their team might not have the talent that some of the other teams have total, but if Gundy is locked in, then I think they can. But again, they don't have to beat Oklahoma. They don't have to beat Texas. And I know they've lost to some of the other schools, but I think Colorado has a real shot. If Cam Rising isn't healthy, I think Colorado got a shot. That's my dark horse. Colorado's my dark horse, dog.
Wow.
That is blasphemous. That is blasphemous.
There ain't no damn Okie Light wins it.
I'll do this.
Okay. So take Oklahoma and Texas out of the Big 12 last year, right?
It wouldn't.
Who's beating Oklahoma? They made it to the championship.
I'm gonna tell you this much right now. In 2021, when they beat the brakes off of Baylor earlier in the year, and they gagged their asses off. Every time they get a shot at the Big 12 championship, it's not about.
Texas was better than them last year, though.
But Baylor wasn't, and they lost. They gag some more, bro. And had there been a 2011 game in 2011, had there been an actual championship game for the conference, they'd lost that motherfucker too. It's just how it is. I'm just saying.
Go ahead, Coop.
Go ahead, Coop. You give me yours.
Yeah. No, I'm going with Kansas State. I just think they have got some absolute freaking weapons with Edwards coming over from Colorado, and the guy's name escapes me right now, but that younger quarterback. I mean, they are going to have themselves a dynamic offense. And if they're keying up for that normal Big 12, and they're going to put a lot. I mean, Kansas State that's a team that you got to play to understand what they are. A lot of people, you can't. I mean, Kansas State they just get underneath you. So I'm going to go with them. I do think Okie State has an opportunity. I just don't like the quarterback, and so I'll go with my dark horse as Kansas. I still think that with the coaching staff, they are setting up a foundation. They've got a lot of great opportunity for big time playmakers. They've got a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. They can come in and say, "Listen, man, we beat Texas, we beat Oklahoma. Like, who's gonna step up?" So I would say those two. Utah, there's just too many health issues and health ifs, and man, most of the people when they actually go, when they actually bring over, these new teams into new conferences, it's usually when you're taking a step up, it's not always good. I mean, you saw Cincinnati last year, you saw UCF last year. I expect those two teams to do a much better job this year. And it might make it tough on an Arizona. It might make it tough on a couple other teams. I don't buy in Colorado, guys. I mean, if they're pushing 500, that'll surprise me. No matter what they brought in, you gotta have some uniformity on your team. And I'm rooting for them now because of Phil Loadholt. I want to see Big Phil go in there, and I want to see him take in the offensive line. I don't know if they really have a legitimate full roster. Oklahoma's sitting over here going, can we squeeze one more D tackle in, or who else are we going to have to process? And teams are processing folks. I mean, they're trying to fill spots still. It's like the Oklahoma basketball team.
Like they need bodies.
And game one is going to be a test right out the gate with North Dakota State, because that's not a team that you can come in and be like, oh, they're a directional school, we got this. Like, if you come in and you jack around with North Dakota State, they're gonna embarrass you. And I'm not talking about 65-0, but you're not gonna stop them. They're gonna do what they want to do. So, but at the end of it, like, if you pull a Kansas or a Kansas State, man, it's just not something that strikes fear into an Ohio State, or strikes fear into a Michigan or Auburn or anything like that. Not saying Auburn's going to make it, but I'm just saying there's just too much.
I got you.
I've been sitting here thinking about it, and I honestly think my mind changes every time I start thinking about it. But I would tell you this. The team that I keep kind of going back to, and it's because I know there wasn't a lot thought about them last year. They're going to play probably the best defense in this league. Aside, Utah is going to be right there with them.
I was about to say
the best defense in this league is going to be Iowa State. And Rocco Becht might be one of the better quarterbacks in this league too. It's after what we saw from him as a freshman.
Yeah.
Look, I like what they've done there, and I mean, I counted them completely out after the gambling thing last year, and they were in the running for it until the last couple of weeks of the regular season. They were right there. I think that they've got an opportunity. I think Kansas State definitely has an opportunity, but I'll tell you the other one. I like KJ Jefferson going to Gus Malzahn. That is just gimmicky enough, and they got really heavy in the portal that they're going to make it hard on a lot of people too. It's going to be one of those two teams for me, with Kansas State being the wild card. I said earlier on another show that I thought Kansas, but again, it's a big if with Jalen Daniels. If Jalen Daniels plays, I think that he could change the dynamic of the entire conference. But this is why I said I think that there's 6 to 8, 9 teams that theoretically could find a way to do it. Everybody but Okie Light, I think they could do. But
the better question would probably be who can't win the Big 12.
I think that's probably absolutely the better question. Yeah,
right.
And Ben, I want to address your comment because you says not North Dakota State. I mean, North Dakota State. I mean, looks like they won 10 games last year. They
won a
lost
national
to
championship.
And that was an
Yeah.
off year for them, by the way. Last year
Yeah,
was they didn't
it
play up to their standard.
You don't want to mess around with Middle Tennessee State, North Dakota State, because people made movies where they took shots at them and they thought, you know what, let's not have that happen anymore. So, but again, I'm glad I'm not a content. I mean, I guess as a content creator for one of these teams, you're going to have plenty of stuff. There's nobody that's going to be fully on out. I mean, but that's the story of this whole year. In my big boy job, I'm pushing a massive football tentpole thing that we're going to be doing in the fall, to where we're giving away trips to the Super Bowl and trips to the national championship game, and like swag and stuff it's just so cool. And they're like, but the average person, I'm like, you don't understand. This is the biggest year of change in college football since when? Because you've got new teams, new conferences, and they're big boy names and they're big brands. You've got the 12-team playoff. So now that keeps at least 25 to 40 different teams throughout the rest of the season, when most of those people were like, well, it's the Cheez-It Bowl. Let's go ahead and cash out. We're playing for nothing. So yeah, I want to see a really cool, turnout for just across the landscape in college football. And then you pair it with, this is, sorry, Jesus, for saying this out loud, but Taylor Swift has brought a new audience to football, and it doesn't mean you like it or not. It means something nowadays, because it's all about the TV dollars, and people are going to watch just in case, and people are going to be willing to watch. It is what it is, man. It is what it is, man. But and then you throw in NCAA, you throw in the video game, and now all of a sudden you've rejuvenated a lot of people too. So. This is a year to where more teams are going to stay engaged for a lot longer than it's ever happened.
I'll tell you this, Shadi, I've sent you that link, I think, but whenever you get in here, that's great. But I don't think that this is that far off. I think the conference runner-up is going to be 9-4. I think you're going to get 2 9-3 teams playing for this conference title game, which is why I think it's so up in the air, because of the fact that first off, the schedules, they don't all play each other. I mean, when you got 18 teams, you can understand why that happened. But, or it is 16, isn't it?
15, I thought.
No, it's 15 because they lost 2 and they've added
16.
8. Yeah.
Okay, 16.
Yeah.
Because it was tied for 15th on the stadium size.
Yeah, look, you're saying Oklahoma State better not lose to North Dakota State?
Oh, North Dakota State plays Colorado first game.
Colorado first game.
We're about to get into the SEC, but we're talking
that's going to be tough.
Big 12. Yeah, I think it's going to be a good game, but I think Colorodo's going to win.
And they got Nebraska the following week too, and those two fan bases are already at it.
Right, and they got to go to They got to go to Nebraska too. So I think that's.
We can sit here and argue about the Big 12 all the rest of the day, but I think that you brought up a good point here, and you brought this up earlier too. Let's just say this: and I wanted to kind of stick to the SEC mostly, but with this one early season, you can go wherever you want to with it. Let's talk about the most anticipated games of the season coming up. I mean, obviously, with all this movement and everything else coming up, I think that that's a big one. That was a good game last year for a good while. Nebraska, and Matt Rule in year 2 is a lot different than Matt Rule in year 1. They've got Dylan Raiola starting there at Nebraska. Obviously, you got Shador, who a lot of people think is going to make a run at the Heisman Trophy. I think you're going to have to win more games than you would need to, but he's going to put up the numbers, Coop. He had the numbers pretty close to do it last year. So even without a decent offensive line. So there's at least it's a storyline early on is what I'm saying. So I think that's going to be a big storyline early on. I think week 1 game days got Notre Dame at Texas A&M. Huge game right there for Notre Dame. You can't afford to lose that one. But it's a tough place to go play.
They'll win.
They should win, but I don't think that this is. They have a grown-up at the helm now down there in Aggie land. So,
but like you educated me, it doesn't matter who's at the helm in A&M, dog. They're the same team every year.
They do have the same winning rate. They have the same win percentages they had in the 40s. So I do get that part.
Yeah,
it literally blows my mind. Granted, it's just the state of Texas, and I I don't understand it. But I don't understand how, as an A&M fan, like, where does your confidence come from? Like, I literally don't like walking into groups of people and talking about something if I don't feel like I am in that same realm of familiarity with the topic. Whereas A&M, if you ask A&M fans, they're 8 for 8 for the past 8 national championships. They've won them all.
Hey, man. It's called a fan for a reason. Fanatical, delusional, it's all the same.
Absolutely.
It's all the same.
Speaking
I mean, where does I mean, not to take a shot at my guy because he ain't here, but where does South Carolina's confidence come from? They talk trash every offseason. I mean, they got an ACC championship like back in the leather helmet days or something. I don't know.
It's and so, like, you saying that, there's probably a lot of folks listening on here and be like, wait, South Carolina fans are cocky?
Bruh. Like,
no pun intended. No pun intended.
Right. I always say they got the most loyal fans because they're so delusional. And I'm telling you, it's not just them talking trash just to be talking trash. If you really know these people, they really believe what they're telling you. They do. That's what I'm saying. Like, so when you play South Carolina, if you play them anytime but at night, then you probably gonna play however you normally play. But if you play them at night, the fans, I'm telling you, that place goes crazy. Weird stuff starts to happen. That's all I'm gonna say.
We've played in West Virginia a few times. We've seen some weird. Couches burning, falling out of buildings. It's just
I ain't gonna say, but say, oh,
we're gonna bring up weird.
Oh, geez, no, come on. I saw this once. That's more than enough.
Right.
I don't know why it's doing that. It's so weird, dude. That's
because your computer knows better. Your computer knows better.
Right.
These people
don't.
I think it just booted them. I think it's not wanting to do it. It's not wanting.
It's okay.
Listen, man. Once they printed the list of how far you are from the local Waffle House, and we saw that Texas A&M was the only one that was over 12 miles from a Waffle House, that just shows you they're not a real SEC team, dog. Do better, Texas A&M. Build a Waffle House closer to the.
Be better. Be better.
It's a different animal down there, but I tell you, and you know, everybody hates Texas, but you kind of get it why they pick on A&M because they just ask for it, right? They just ask for it all day long. It's so weird. And again, I think that they do have a grown up at the helm. They could be better. I am actually picking them to beat Texas this year, but that's just me. That being said, I think what's the other Clemson, Georgia first right off the bat. You know, I mean, you know, I don't think Clemson. You were saying whenever I was over there on Kobe show or a little earlier. Hopefully those guys come out, and shout out to the Blitz City guys. But I hope you were saying earlier that Clemson's going to win the ACC. So does that mean it's going to be a decent game between them and Georgia, or is Georgia just going to go in there and do what we think is probably?
No, I don't think it's going to look like what a lot of Georgia fans are saying, and you know, we're going to beat them by 3-4 TDs. I do think we're going to beat them. I think we're going to beat them comfortably, but that means, like, I think the spread is about right. We beat them by 2 touchdowns. I think they got a really good defense, and they got a really good running back. Their line should play better. The key, I can tell you this, if it's a blowout, it's because Cade, Kublik has not gotten any better. That'd be the reason for the blowout. If he's made any kind of strides at all, I think it's not going to be, again, like some of the dogs are saying, like by 4 touchdowns and all that stuff. I think it's more like we're going to score 35 plus. I mean, that's just what it's going to be. And the question is,
can they keep up?
Right. But this is the thing. We're not a conference game. And I looked at their schedule. I mean, they got to play Florida State, of course, but I mean, Florida State and Notre Dame, but Notre Dame, again, is not a conference game. I think Louisville could be still good. I think Jeff Brown's a pretty decent coach. They got to play Louisville, if I'm not mistaken. But I mean, who's beating Clemson?
But the only thing about Louisville, and they got Tyler Shuck, which is probably better quarterback than they've had, but he won't be healthy by the time they play Louisville. I'm sure.
Right.
You know,
if he is, he'll get hurt again before. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's what I think. He's been in college for 7 years and he hasn't been healthy 1 year. So
So it's like, I mean, they play NC State definitely always gives them a battle, but they haven't beat them in Clemson. They got to play them in Clemson. Stanford in Clemson, Wake Forest, Virginia. I mean, maybe Pitt at Pitt.
They got to go on the road to SMU. A lot of people like SMU.
No, they don't have to play SMU. No, they play
SMU.
Stanford. They play Stanford.
FSU? Oh, Clemson. I thought you were FSU.
Clemson. Yeah. No, Clemson. That's what I'm saying. They don't have to play SMU. SMU is supposed to be pretty decent. I don't think Stanford's going to be. They got to come across country. I think if I had to pick a game, the back-to-back going to Blacksburg. So they play Louisville at Clemson, then they go to Blacksburg to play Virginia Tech, then they go to Pitt. One of those games they could drop, but that has to mean that, let's say that they lose 2 games in the ACC and now they're 7-2. That means the teams that they lost to also have to be 7-2 or 8-1. And I don't know if that's going to happen because of the whole parity type deal at the top. If you're picking 3 or 4 teams, Louisville, Virginia Tech, Pitt, Florida State, Clemson, North Carolina State. So, yeah. I think Clemson's going to win the ACC. But I do think the Dogs are going to beat Clemson first week.
We didn't talk about that one in week 0, SC LSU at Vegas that apparently Lincoln's been trying to get out of for a couple of years.
I think that's one of the most important. Right.
Yeah. He since before the Baylor game, when he was still the coach at OU, he's started trying to get out of that. So I mean,
that's why I said earlier in our group, Jason, I put that as one of the most anticipated games to vote on, because that's what I ain't gonna say all SEC fans, but a lot of SEC fans, when he left to go to USC, they was like, look at him, because he knows they're gonna come to the SEC. He's running from the SEC, and then you find out that he's trying to get out of the LSU game. That's even building it even more. So not to mention that both of them are national brands. So I think that makes, and it's going to be played in Vegas. So it's going to be super hot out there, by the way.
But they're in the dome. They're in the dome.
Yeah. I know. I'm talking about for tailgating purposes. So
it will be fun. Oh, they don't tailgate in Vegas. Come on.
Yeah.
they gambling and
Listen, man, LSU. There's other things to do in Vegas, but when I tell you, LSU tailgate everywhere they go, dog.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There's a couple of games. Yeah, like Michigan and Washington. Like that's you now get a college football playoff rematch. That's October 5th. And I'm really excited to see that, because I mean, does anybody know what either of those teams are going to be this year? Like, do we have any clue?
Texas at Michigan too.
Yeah.
Texas at Michigan. Michigan actually got they play everybody. They play Washington, like Coop said. They play Oregon. And
Ohio
of course,
State,
they always
Penn
say play
State.
Ohio State, and then they play Penn State, and they play Texas. So now Texas does have to go there, but that's one of the games I'm looking forward to see.
Bro,
I mean, they're picking Texas to be top 5. They're saying Michigan didn't really fall off, and I want to see what they got. It's like second game of the season.
It's going to be 1950s football. Michigan is going to run the ball 55, 60 times, and Texas won't be able to do a damn thing about it. I mean, I don't know who I don't know if their quarterback needs to come out. Like they will just shovel the rock the entire time, and it's going to be glorious. It may be an hour and 45-minute long game. It's going to be beautiful. I'm surprised you guys didn't say so. November 9th, maybe you did, and maybe I just zoned out. Florida State, Notre Dame. Like I really like that game. I really like that game.
You looking forward to that one, Coop?
I want to see what DJ does. Have you talked to his pops here recently, Jason?
I haven't. I texted him a couple of weeks back, but I mean, he's business. Look, man, I'm pro DJU. I'm more interested in the Florida State Clemson than Notre Dame, because that one's in Tallahassee too. But
I forgot all about that when thinking about the games that's anticipating the DJU return to. Oh no, man, Clemson has to go down there.
It'll be in Tallahassee, which is probably a good thing. But I'll tell you this: I think that my concern, and shout out to DJU and shout out to Big Dave, but I gotta say, I honestly am not enamored with that choice for him. I think that Florida State, they love to talk about their great their culture, and I don't buy it. And I think what's going to happen is you already hearing it from other corners that they're not going to do what they probably could or should do if they still had some guys around. and they're thinking that they can be portal kings and do just through the portal as well, and then they're going to blame the shit on DJU if they don't go win it.
So you think Florida State's going to take a step back? You know?
I do.
I mean, they're going to take a step back because of all the talent they lost, but like you thinking major.
I don't think that they win. I don't think that they play in the conference championship game, and I think that they have the talent to do so, but I don't think. Look, Jordan Travis didn't. I mean, he had much better talent to deal with, and yes, they went undefeated, but that down the stretch
in the regular season,
that Florida game was god awful, and Florida wasn't very good, and they still barely squeezed by, and then, I mean,
undefeated in the regular season.
SC had lost freaking 5 games in a row coming into the bowl game.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for a missed 2-point conversion, they go 6-0 to 0-6, and they blew Louisville out of the water. So, I mean, Kentucky beat the shit out of them a couple of weeks before that. I mean, to me, and they put up 16 points, you know, for their great culture, and then they don't hang around, and then they get drugged by 60. I don't think you just recover from a 60-point loss. I don't care if most of the team's gone or not.
Yeah,
I don't think you do.
They out there with the dog hangover.
I mean, you kind of got to just take your shot. This is hard. Like with what Georgia and Alabama has done over the past, little while, and then with LSU every 5 to 6 years when they finally put it all together. Like it just that's hard. Every single bit of those things is hard. And for Florida State to be like, we're back, and then to have it all ripped out from underneath them, and then it just completely it was an avalanche of chaos.
They handled it terribly, though.
I think Jason hit on the head with all the losses, because it's one thing when you recruit and develop and have like depth at every position, and then you lose these guys, and then the next guy steps up. It's like, right. I think old dude is doing good in at Florida State, but I don't know if
he had to do that, right? But now you needed to also be having development guys. That's
right. And I don't know if they've developed enough talent, through recruiting or portal people that had 3 years left or whatever, so that they can replace. They lost a lot of talent, especially, they lost a lot of talent. I mean,
yeah,
I saw some in the bowl game, even though they didn't do too good. I saw like 1 or 2 guys. I didn't see like 3 or 4 on the offense and 3 and 4 on the defense. It's like it's going to take a lot to replace what they was doing this past season. So, and right. You're right. They are going to blame DJ. Wrong or right, they are going to blame DJ if they don't have a successful season. And I think that is not.
It's not fair.
The greatest situation that you want to put yourself in.
You don't have Keon Coleman in the room anymore. You don't have. Right. I think they're kind of in the same position that we've been talking about Clemson for the last few years, not having receivers. Right. They blamed it on him there, and they didn't have a receiver for him to throw to. And even Klubnik hasn't done shit either. When they didn't even recruit your nephew and the best receiver in the state.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Listen, they say they should be better at wide receiver this year.
They do have some guys that they brought in regular recruiting there, but I mean, we're talking freshmen though.
Right. Right. And then Florida State, on the other hand, isn't in that. I mean, I'm not saying they still got Hakeem. I want to say it's Hakeem Williams. If I could be wrong with that, but I think he's got some talent. But he's not gonna carry you to 11-1. 10 and I don't even think he's carrying you 10-2, 11-1. Definitely not 12-0. So it's gonna be rough down there, man. I wish DJ the best. I used to tell Clemson fans, it's not all on DJ, dog. Like, y'all got to get a dude some help. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and that's what I think too. Is I think that you look at what and Big Dave said it when he was on the show. He goes, look, his freshman year, he goes into Notre Dame and breaks the record for an away player, passing yards and touchdowns and all that stuff. And then, but he had all the guys that were playing with Trevor. They were loaded.
Mm-hmm.
Then all of a sudden the cupboard's bare, and it's and I'm not saying he was great the whole way through it, but also at some point, don't you? The best offensive coaches cater to who you got in the room. You knew who DJ was when you got him. He's not. I mean, he's got a huge arm. I wouldn't say he's the most accurate guy on that 15-yard pass, but he's an athlete. You need to use his athleticism. That's a big dude.
Well, there was some conflicting. I don't know how true or whatever. Like, we always like, on the outside looking in, like, why doesn't DJ run more? And then there was DJ's a passer though, and we heard that he was more so not wanting to run, whereas the OC might have wanted him to run a little bit more, and he wanted to be a passer. And I think Oregon State allowed him to do that. He did run at Oregon State, but I think he was allowed to be, a pocket quarterback. I think everybody sees.
Learning to read defenses at Oregon State, though, too. He learned a lot that because they run that pro style offense, and it's all about the reads that you make.
Right.
And let's not. Dylan Raiola is going to be in the same boat here before too long. Is when you are that big of a body, that physically, impressive, and that highly rated, they expect for you to come in and be Cam Newton. They expect for you to come in and that's hard. I mean, that's hard for everybody. And it's more and more now, especially with the social media. They don't have to shy away from money or anything like that. And so what these guys are taking on their shoulders, and let's be honest, like you look across the landscape of college football, and anybody who pulled a big name out of the transfer portal, or anybody who got a 5-star or somebody, like those guys have to show up and be somebody, and they don't get time to become somebody, and that's not entirely fair.
Well, and I mean, they're coming in with Clemson. They were coming off of a deal with, they had 2 quarterbacks back to back that won national championships.
It's hard to be the man to follow the man.
And when you think about the second one, he was a damn true freshman when he did it.
Yeah, and then you look at guys like you look at guys who are following these major guys. I mean, look at Spencer Rattler. I mean, we had the same situation down here in Oklahoma. Spencer Rattler, a 5-star quarterback, he's supposed to be it. And if he was just a good quarterback, that wasn't enough. It wasn't enough.
I'm gonna be honest. If he had to play at Oklahoma how he played at South Carolina, then he wouldn't have lost his starting job. He just didn't have no help at South Carolina. So he didn't play good at Oklahoma, but he played good at South Carolina.
Spencer Rattler was great at Oklahoma.
It
was that. I mean, I think there was some Lincoln Riley in there too at OU with Spencer, because I mean, you look at Spencer Rattler's first half stats. I mean, what was the year where Mims had like 900 yards receiving, but like what was it, like 90% of it came in the first half? Like we just couldn't do anything in the second half of games for almost a year and a half under Spencer Rattler, and I don't know what it was. I don't know if he had 2 or 3 tricks.
I think he was immature, when he was at Oklahoma, but I think he matured at South Carolina. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it was
physically his arm is as good as anybody's.
Right. And maybe him and Lincoln didn't mesh well. You know what I'm saying? I think Lincoln's great with quarterbacks, but that don't mean it's going to be 100%. You know what I'm saying? It could be that one outlier. I don't know. I think it's more he matured as he got older, and then, took some things, maybe even took some things more serious. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, you get booed off your own field and you have to transfer to the other side of the United States. At some point, you're going to have to be like, some of this could be me. But again,
look, they were down 28-7 before he got pulled out. So I mean, the year before he had pulled him out very early. They weren't down much. They pulled him out, settled him down, and he came back in and was okay. Yeah. But he waited until Lincoln waited until they were down 28-7. And we all have our theories about why he did that shit. And then remember, he didn't want to start him after that. He was kind of forced to start him after that because. But I mean, even after the comeback and all that kind of stuff, hell, he wouldn't stay out there and do. I mean, he didn't celebrate with his teammates. He didn't show back up on Monday or whatever. There was a lot of shit that went down there. Everybody, I've heard people say we should apologize to Spencer Rattler. Fuck out of here! No way.
No.
he blamed a lot of that crap on OU, and it was on Lincoln, not on OU.
Well, at the time when he was there, Lincoln was OU. So, I mean, from his point of view, I mean, I'm not saying that it's supposed to be like that, but you're going to blame the school. I mean, it's Lincoln, but Lincoln was there at OU. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. I think Lincoln could.
You don't hear him badmouthing Lincoln, though. You hear him badmouthing Oklahoma is what I'm saying.
Yeah. And you look at Sooner Cowboys. I mean,
y'all did boo him, dog.
he looks like he's Sooner Cowboys wrapped
up the joint against Tulane, bro.
Yeah. He said Tulane was the hardest hitting team he had ever been, and yeah, I mean, you got kicked off your high school team for banging a chick in the locker room. You showed up and you were telling everybody that you were the next one, and then you talk trash about. Yeah, it is. It's 100% immaturity, and he. I mean, listen. You got to think about the opportunity that he had right in that moment was insane. That's something that none of us three can even fathom. You have the whole world ready to be handed to you, and you can't just be like, I need to change a few things about myself. So, but it is. And the last comment here, Thunder OU.
Yeah.
That kind of reminds me of Bad Boy Rick Vaughn. Yeah, where he can't see the guy and hitting him in the head.
Yeah, and I think once he got away from Lincoln, which in his mind was Oklahoma, he had some self-awareness, like my boy Ben said. He had some awareness, and he grew up. And again, I feel like he played good at South Carolina. They just didn't have anything, so it doesn't look good. It's kind of like what Jason was saying about Florida State and DJU. Even if DJU plays good this year, it's not going to look like what Jordan Travis did, because Jordan Travis had, Keon Coleman. He had,
he didn't even have to be that accurate. Yeah.
Right. So it's like, it's a little bit different.
Johnny Wilson at 6'6", the guy can't catch a slant pattern, but if you throw it up in the air, he's going to come down with it. Like,
if you look at, like, going back to the Big 12, you look at Shador's, like, he only threw 3 interceptions last year, but nobody thinks of, his stats because the team was bad. It's like,
if you look at the numbers, his numbers were right there with Penix and Caleb and everybody in the top of the country, and they didn't protect him at all. But Dion wouldn't let him get out of the pocket and leave either, which was surprising to me when he runs a 4.2.
But Jason, there's a lot of dudes there's a lot of guys who stuff stats, and when you're playing from 40 behind, you're going to throw for a lot of yards.
Yeah, that does play some.
That's pretty funny stuff right there. Everybody loves O'Coop, man. Look at him. No, hey, look. All I say is, to me, that ACC is and I'll tell you the other one that staying in that ACC the first week of the season too. You're talking Florida and Miami. I think one of the guys could get fired right after that game, because if you're Mario Cristobal and you're recruiting the way you are, and you got Cam Ward, which, look, I mean, he was probably the most sought after transfer quarterback, right?
Quarterback, yeah, for sure.
So
I think so.
So they got him, and they've now. I will say this: all of a sudden, it looks like you may not be getting that defensive tackle that they were supposedly getting.
Mario's got talent, man. It ain't the talent. If they lose that game, it is
That's
all
the thing. After the Georgia Tech debacle last year and the games that they've lost, I mean, they beat Clemson, but do they give him much room? If you've got an opportunity to go down there and step on Florida's throat and you don't get that done, I mean, does that put the writing on the wall for him? Who's in more danger, do you think?
I think Miami. I think Cristobal is under more pressure, dog. I get that Billy's going through the Rashada stuff, and he hasn't, really shown what people thought he was going to show at Florida. I'm not making excuses for a Florida coach by any means, but if I had to say somebody has to win that game, it's got to be Cristobal, though. Like he has talent over talent over talent. He's been in the top 10, I think, if I'm not mistaken, the last 2 in recruiting, and then in the portal, he's in the top 2, 3, 4, or something like that. It's like, dog, what are we doing here? You know what I'm saying? It's like it's not even underperforming at this point. It's just a disaster. Let me tell you. I mean, Miami's. I get it that they haven't been back to the U since early 2000s, but hey, Mark Richt's second year, he was in the ACC championship. That's all I'm saying. I mean, we need to know what's up with Cristobal.
He was a good coach. He just didn't win an SEC championship, is all.
Well, he won 2.
He won a
national championship.
He didn't win a natty, and I mean, he was winning 10 games a year. You don't just win 10 games a year and being a shitty coach. I don't care who you are.
Right. Blind squirrels find nuts every once in a while, guys. I mean, A&M and Missouri were both in SEC championship games the first couple of years they came over, and they did nothing after that. Like, it's that Miami, Florida. I mean, I think we just do a reset on all of it.
It's a mess.
So who's under more pressure than Coop? I mean,
Here's the reason that I think I'm going to say this real quick before you answer. I'm going to tell you that it's definitely Cristobal because they're not going to fire Billy unless he only goes 4-8. And I'll tell you why. They don't want to take the chance of losing DJ Lagway.
That paired with Miami actually has more of a clear path towards relevancy. And I think Florida could stay where they're at, and they're going to wait it out with Lagway.
They've got the toughest schedule in the freaking
Thunder OU. He said the same thing. Cristobal's recruiting been off the charts, though. Like, you got to do something with the talent you got, man. It's like,
Ruiz is going to pull back the money here before too long, and because he's not going to continue throwing money for nothing.
Yeah, so Cowboys saying you think one of them will be Texas. Of course, that's in Austin. But look, they've got a couple of games that they could win. Being at home, I wouldn't be that surprised. Look, they're going to play Florida State like they always do at the end of the year. They start with Miami. They could beat both those teams and beat UCF. I don't know that they beat UCF. I think that might be the best team in Florida, which is weird.
It is
not to UCF fans.
Well,
yeah, they've been saying
that for years.
I don't listen to those weirdos, man. I mean, you start, calling Matrix championships. I don't want to hear your mouth. You know what I mean? So, but I will say though, they may actually. But that's the weirdest thing about it. But I do think that Florida actually has as good a chance of winning all of those games as they have of losing any of them. I think. Yeah. So. To me, as tough as that one is, I think they're going to win some games too. And I also think that, look, man, I mean, we've talked a ton about Texas. I don't even want to go there anymore, but I can tell you that I know what Sooner Cowboys is saying is because, look, if you are better on defense like you think, and one thing we know is Graham Mertz wasn't the damn problem last year.
No, he wasn't. I said that after the Utah loss. The Utah loss was a problem.
Guys, a quarterback transferred out of Wisconsin to your school. If you can say he wasn't the issue, that's a freaking win every day of the week. Like that tells you that you can't say that
he wasn't the problem. So
no.
And I also feel like DJ gives you. They don't have to play Lagway a lot. I think they have to play him enough to really get.
Keep
really, you got to be smart enough to put him in situations where they want more of him. Oh shit, we need to see more from this kid. So if Billy can play this correctly, and not get him killed and win some, but I think if they win 6 games, there's no way they fire him. A lot of people think they might win 7 or 8 games. I don't know about all 8, but if they do, they should build a statue for Billy in front of that with this schedule. I just don't think he's under as much pressure as you might be under normal circumstances in Gainesville, right?
I'm just looking.
Although
I'm looking at
the Rashada thing helps, but
they're going to get some fool's gold. I think is because they go Miami, Samford, A&M at Mississippi State, and then UCF at home. Then they got at Tennessee, Kentucky at home, Georgia at home, at Texas, LSU, Ole Miss, and then at Florida State. I mean, there's a world where Billy Napier doesn't see November, the end of it.
6-6 at best.
Well, I think if he doesn't win, I think if he wins 5 or 6 games or 5 or 4 games, yeah, he's probably out. But is he though? I mean,
it's a tough road down there, man. But
don't you think that? Do you think they want to take the chance of losing the Gatorade Player of the Year, and before you ever get to really put him out there?
Couldn't happen to a better group of guys.
I knew we were going to get something like that from you. I was pushing for it. I've been working on that.
Yeah.
I was throwing that at you. And really, before we jump off of it too far away, I just wanted to throw this back up there for everybody to look at. This is my favorite thing I've done in a while.
Lincoln running from the SEC.
Yeah, Lincoln. Forrest Riley.
I went to the
Pac-12
and I was running.
Right. Listen, I tell you what, if he loses to LSU, it's just gonna make that story even worse for him.
He's losing to LSU. Like he's losing to LSU. I don't think that he's got the skin and that team reflects him. There's no chance game one they're gonna go. No. It's.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely taking Brian Kelly as a head coach over Lincoln Riley for sure.
Lincoln Riley may not leave Vegas.
They're gonna
bury
him in the desert.
He'll go search out Mr. Davis and be like, hey, you guys need a head coach, right? I do good on offense. And so I mean he's just a joke.
Shotty Parker, welcome to the show, sir. Shotty.
Gentlemen, how y'all doing?
What's going on?
Look at him. He looks all different. He got a new camera. He's got a new setup. Let's check him out, man. It's looking pretty slick over there in just my damn opinionville.
Right.
Yeah, this is one that Ben's not wrong though either. LSU
they haven't
won one of these early season games yet.
That's true.
They got ran by Florida State last year, and
no better time to do it than against Lincoln Riley.
Yeah, sure you go. That's he's the slump buster.
He damn sure is.
You want to get out of a slump like
Lincoln Riley. Schedule Lincoln Riley.
Like fat girls. Sorry.
Oh my God.
Hey, what is your favorite early season game there, Shotty? Or what's a game you're looking forward to seeing?
I think Shotty might have to put some quarters. There you go.
We need some quarters in the
early
machine.
Season. Good question. Don't you guys have who y'all guys got early?
Tennessee third game, I think.
Fourth game. That was the first game of the SEC for Oklahoma.
Yeah,
it's definitely the one we're looking forward to.
Definitely looking for that one. I want
Josh Heupel coming back.
Yeah, that's gonna be kind of like a barometer.
Yeah, that's why I think
it's a better game than these other ones we've been talking about more. I think that Tennessee might be a better game than Ole Miss or Missouri.
Again, Tennessee at OU and Texas at Michigan, both temperature checks, I think.
Yeah,
I think. And then the word out of Knoxville is Nico's the quarterback for this system. That's what they've been saying. He's the quarterback for this.
I've been saying that since he got there. He hadn't played but once.
I'm just saying what they said out of Tennessee. I don't know, dog.
No,
they told us the same thing with Joe Milton. So
hey, listen. OU has a black quarterback again, and I'm excited about it. And so I'm just really, really fired up about. Never mind. Sorry, EA Sports. EA Sports.
Right, EA Sports had Jackson Arnold as quarterback.
That was rough. No,
they were dragging them on that too, man. They fixed all that stuff quick. Apparently, they immediately posted it to Twitter that they had already fixed all the problems with the Red River setup because they had it all backwards.
It was bad. Yeah,
it
was bad. But you said something that I want to point out because you said a measuring stick or a barometer with Oklahoma and Texas. I don't know if you can call Tennessee a barometer because they're working with their own little reset going on. And Michigan, nobody knows what the hell they are. So I think it's kind of like this LSU USC game in like what are they? Because if you look at LSU Florida State at the beginning of the year last year, you thought, oh well shit, Florida State's going to win the national championship and LSU is going to be firing their head coach. It didn't really go that way. Like LSU still struggled a little bit, but there was that. I think that just for Oklahoma specifically, I think that probably the first measuring stick for Oklahoma. I mean,
after that,
I want to say it's at Auburn. I mean, because you kind of know what Auburn is, but even them, they've got an infusion of talent going on. So, I mean, hell, do we not find out who Oklahoma really is until Ole Miss?
No way you're saying that, Coop.
I'm gonna tell you like this. Well, and like I say, I don't think it's this, can't nobody win there because obviously people can win down in Auburn. But while the stadium and the place is a hard place to play, when you're talking about the team, Tennessee's way more of a barometer than Auburn.
Oh, yeah, no, I agree. I agree with that. I just think that there's so much flip over. and this is the first big game that Nico's going to be going on the road playing. So, like,
hold on, no, they're at Tennessee in week 2, or at NC State in week 2. They're gonna get it. They're gonna get a test there.
They play NC State in Charlotte on the neutral field.
Oh,
so
Charlotte.
Yeah, it's a neutral field. So yeah, this will be his first true road game, which is true. But you got to remember, you guys also have a first year starter. They both played in the bowl game.
I get it, and I would tend to agree. But the one thing that the difference is, here's the thing: I think that their defensive line is supposed to be one of the best in the SEC too. They probably have the best defensive player in the SEC at Tennessee as well. So
according to draft projections, they got the best defensive player in the nation almost.
That's what I'm saying. When I say SEC,
I don't know if that's I get what you're saying.
But to me, that's why I said to start this, I think that that's probably one of the biggest games I think it's one of their biggest games of the year for Oklahoma. I think that should you win it because you're at home? Yes, absolutely. The hope is that also I think Josh could be a little. I think he could also be a little bit
fired up.
They definitely play better at home.
Heat up a little bit, right? Yeah, and I think that it's going to be a tough place for him to come play. And again, I still think Oklahoma wins it, but I think this is, to me, it's a tougher game than Missouri is. Missouri's on the road. I know. I don't buy them. I'm gonna continue saying that. I think they're full of shit. I don't buy them. Ole Miss, I'm not saying I don't completely, but I still want them to prove it to me too, because they still don't win big games. We haven't seen that out of them yet.
It's the mercenary influx. I mean, Ole Miss, they led the charge with, paying for the influx. Here's the bigger question for you, Jason. Does Oklahoma throw out the red carpet for Josh Heupel and get them all emotional and confused, or do they just ignore the situation?
I think they should ignore the situation because they haven't tried to make any amends all up until this point. You're going to wait till he comes and plays you. That does not look good if you're OU. Don't do that.
Yeah, I agree. I think it
looks completely bullshit for you to do that. And Josh Heupel is our last freaking quarterback that won a natty. Don't do that shit. It was bad enough how they kind of, all that shit went down for him getting fired. I don't like it. I hope they don't do that, but could I see him doing it? Yeah.
Shawty, your thoughts on Tennessee going to Oklahoma? Barometer check or what?
I mean, I open up with it. Of course, I think it's a barometer check. How can it not be? You playing arguably what you would consider, at least if you had the East and West, you would consider them at least a second, third best team in the East.
Mm-hmm.
Oklahoma, right. You would have to consider them being somewhere the third, fourth best team in the East or West. I mean, so I'm saying it not. I mean, and that's the first game in the conference. How can it not be? But
right.
That's just my opinion.
So
I think being the first game of the conference, everybody's looking. That's why the game is anticipated too. For one, it's Josh Heupel coming back home. And then it's Tennessee's offense. Can they get going?
It ain't like you open up against Arkansas.
Right. Or Vandy or Mississippi State or somebody, you know what I'm saying? It's like you open it up against a team who, says they're in it to win it. You know what I'm saying? At least they've been trying to be the last couple of years. And it's like, it's the first game. So if you guys go out there, I'm not saying that if you blow Tennessee out, that means you're going to win the SEC barometer check, or if you get beat, that doesn't mean you belong. It can show you where you at. You know what I'm saying? It's different than opening up with, like you said, Arkansas or, Vandy or somebody.
Chattanooga.
Yeah.
That's who Tennessee opens up with. Chattanooga. Well,
come on now. Your first three games are like they world beaters now.
No, I was just being funny.
Right.
Just from a depth standpoint, their first 22 gonna be damn near just as good as y'all's first 22.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
James,
and
do we remember why that is though? That the passing game did. Okay,
I don't disagree. I don't disagree. I don't disagree with James one iota in that comment. I really don't.
I get what you guys are saying, but you also remember why that offense was like it was too, is because that's what they wanted him to do, was change it and be a run heavy team and all that other shit. It wasn't just on Josh. We know that.
Yeah, it wasn't just on Josh. You're still the OC, and you're still the OC, and he probably, if he was anybody else, he'd have been gone earlier. So I mean, it was a struggle, but from what I understand is this past year there have been a lot of bridges mended between Oklahoma and Josh Heupel.
Yeah, I think that from the players that I think that all the old players that when they went to Roy Williams Hall of Fame induction and that kind of stuff, I think that was helpful. I've heard that too. I think that they're working behind the scenes on it, but when he didn't go to Leach's funeral, and Leach was his favorite guy, and he didn't go to his funeral because Bob was going to be there, that doesn't look like they're very happy with each other still.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I gotta say,
extra storylines.
Yeah. Again, I think that it is a big game. I think it's a huge game. I just think that if you do that and act and do standing ovation, don't do nothing crazy to where do a freaking long video.
But wouldn't so this? But this is for everybody, but like your Heisman runner-up, national championship winning quarterback comes back, if they were to celebrate him at the game, that's not for the university, and that's not for that's for the fans. The fans, we would lose our minds. Everybody would lose their minds for Josh Heupel. People are going to go crazy.
That part. I give you that.
And so I'll just.
I think that that's a piece of it that I had really considered. I'd kind of thought about the other side and how mad he's been, and I think that it would come off as you're trying to distract him, though.
That's okay. I'm a little confused by your tactics.
Look, if you're going to do that, just say that's what we're doing, and then I'm okay with that.
No, I think what ends up happening is they probably run, Oklahoma, Gaylord Family Memorial Stadium welcomes back Josh Heupel, and there's a quick little video montage, and that's it. I don't think it's going to be a presentation or a halftime deal or anything like that. And but again, it's that game coming too. I think that for most Oklahoma fans, that's going to be like, oh shit, here we are. We're in the SEC finally. So that's going to be good because starting from Friday afternoon, it's going to be lit.
Oh, it's going to be fun, man. It's going to be fun. And Tennessee fans are crazy anyway, too.
Even just from the environment, the tailgating.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You're right, shouting.
Hey, Cowboys, rest in peace to Josh's mom. She just passed away over the last couple of days, too. So Josh Heupel's mom, and our prayers go out to Josh anyway on that. But I think it's going to be fun. And that Tennessee fans have it's weird because they'll periodically jump into one of my comment sections from, it may be a video from a month ago, and they'll pop in there and they'll be talking shit. And I haven't even talked to any crazy things about them, really. They'll just come in talking shit about Oklahoma's going to suck and blah, blah, blah. We're going to beat y'all by 50. It's like, the fuck?
No, you're going to have to educate yourself a tad bit because it's. But, when I went up to Tennessee for the Baker game, that was perfect. There was nothing bad about that. It was. I loved the fans. I loved going up there. The stadium is absolutely crazy.
No, I'm not saying it's all
tripping. No. I'm just saying I enjoyed that whole deal. But again,
it's just the Tennessee fans on social media. It's not the Tennessee fans actually at the game. Trust me. Me and my wife went to a Georgia-Tennessee game, and she was like, "These fans are pretty nice."
I've heard that they'll fight each other before they'll fight anybody.
Right? They get rowdy now.
They get rowdy now.
They fought that night, and it was Tennessee on Tennessee. It was like a couple of dogs together, and we was just like getting out the way, like, y'all have at it, dog. We was up by like 3 touchdowns at that point, so
that's why they were fighting. They had nothing else to do,
man.
Hey, whoa.
I don't know, dog. So
this is going to be a fun first year, though, going in and to the places that you're going to get to. It's too bad I'm glad that they're playing Tennessee in the Palace this year, getting that, because I do think that that's probably one of their tougher games. I think the other toughest game that they're going to get is another home game, Alabama.
Yeah,
you guys that's the big week 2 game for, or is it week 2 or 3 for you guys on that one?
We play Alabama September 28th at Alabama, 7:30 at night. So that's another. I think that's a highly anticipated game.
Oh yeah,
for the reason, of course, because it's Georgia, Alabama. Trying to see who's gonna, make their claim for right, make their claim on the way to trying to, be the 2024 king of SEC, and then what is it going to look like, Georgia playing Alabama without Nick Saban, you know what I'm saying? So
hey, you brought that up, and I was looking the Auburn gets Oklahoma on the 28th, and it gets you guys on the next weekend, and then Missouri following it. I mean, the Auburn fans might need to take a knee in September or late October, because it's going to be.
That was one of the things we talked about on another show, on another one of Jason's shows. It's not just that you're better on paper, player for player, than a team. It's where the game falls.
Like the schedule.
Right. If you play Georgia and then you turn around and play Oklahoma, like that's not a schedule you want to, you don't want that. That's not good for you. If you play like Kentucky, while they may not be a 10-win team, they're going to play very physical. He wants to run the ball. He plays old school. So you don't want Kentucky after
at the back end
Bama.
Of that.
You don't want to play Kentucky after you play Bama. You want them before you. You know what I'm saying? It's like where the games fall matters.
Right.
It's Auburn goes Oklahoma
right.
on 9/28.
It's kind of like this.
Go ahead, Shorty.
Oh, my bad. I think I might have a little delay. I'm sorry. But this is kind of where I would think as an Oklahoma fan, if I was an Oklahoma fan. I would look at it like this right here. Not only is Tennessee a barometer, a kind of a test, but it's really the whole season. This whole season is going to let you know where you are as a program. I'm going to take this first season it's going to let you know where you are as a program, because you're going to have to measure up against the best of the best. Now, it's not about what you thought you were and what you are. This is going to put it on paper. This is going to put it on film, and you're going to know where you're going to have to go from this first year of playing in the SEC.
I don't doubt you. And I mean, that's what they were saying on Blitz City earlier. There was, why is it that everybody, even Josh Pate was talking about that everybody's overlooking that Oklahoma is the other team coming, to the SEC, which as an OU fan, you're like, fuck Texas, because they do one thing in 15 years and everybody's giving them love. But honestly, if it's the best situation you could be in if you're OU, is to not have the expectations from everybody and all the hate, because now you're pulling receipts. We're pulling receipts for if they do what they need to do. And I think defensively, they're going to be what they need to be. And I think I've never, ever worried about an offense, period, at Oklahoma since, the Stoops era, really.
Josh Heupel.
Josh Heupel at the end. Yeah, I get it. Again, I do believe that I would tell you that I'm not worried about the offense at all. And the defense, I think, is going to be one of the top defenses in the country, but definitely in the SEC as well. That's a good thing for us, but let them be under the radar and all that. But I also think that you've definitely got some tough games. I honestly, aside from the LSU game, I think the toughest games they got are home games,
and that's a good thing. Good thing.
So let me ask you guys this: with the 12-team playoff and your capability to lose a little bit more and still have a chance at the national championship, do you think that changes how teams play? And are they willing to back off in kind of a lose-lose scenario and just take a lump and come back the next week?
I don't know.
I mean, coaches are coaches, and they're going to still coach how they want to.
$13 million to lose.
Right. I don't see. I'll be honest with you. The teams that's actually in those positions to make it to the championship, I don't see them backing off, regardless, because just because you know that I don't know, make it to the championship. Like Jason said, it's not a written rule, but pretty much at the Big Ten and the SEC, both of the teams that make it to the championship, win or lose, they're probably going to make the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But there's also other stuff you're playing for. You want to win the conference so you can get that first round bye. You know what I'm saying? It's not based on like, and then there has to be some kind of overall seed, you know, kind of like basketball or whatever. It's like, but then there's pride on the line. Like all the SEC coaches that's been there, they know, like they'll tell you that winning the SEC is harder than winning the national championship, because once you get out of the SEC, it's like you did the gauntlet. So now you just got to show up and play the other guys. So I don't think the SEC coaches is laying down for anybody, even if like you 11-0 and you got that last game and you number one seed, you might not beat them as bad as you.
That's the whole thing. You don't like anybody in the damn conference unless you're out of the running.
Yeah, it's about recruiting.
Right.
It's about recruiting in the brand. You don't want your brand to take no hit.
Right.
That's where I was going.
Like 11-1 Georgia winning the SEC still ain't better than 12-0 Georgia winning the SEC. You know what I'm saying? It's like that means something. Like it means something that we haven't lost, you know, a SEC regular season game in 3 seasons.
It's when people watch, you got millions of people watching these games. You can't take no L on national TV. It's about that brand.
Right.
Yep. Hey, I'm with you. Any other games y'all want to bring up? Because that kind of brings to something else.
I think an anticipated game, not maybe like, you know, has to do with who's going to win the conference or whatever, is Texas and Texas A&M, because I feel like Texas A&M was the one school that didn't want Texas to come in. They've been kind of like trying to get out of their shadow for so long, and now it's like they can't even use the hey, we're in the SEC recruiting pitch anymore, because Texas can be like, well, we're in the SEC too. So, and they haven't played for a long time. So I think that was going to be atmosphere-wise. I think that's going to I think that's going to be kind of like was it Pitt and West Virginia when they finally played a year ago after
backyard
like
brawl.
it's like it's been so anticipated, regardless of who's the better team. I think the atmosphere and the anticipation is going to be there.
Yeah, listen, I think that the Texas Bowl is a big deal. It's a big deal.
Right.
And I think that, again, I would pick A&M because it's going to be at A&M.
Also, like Shawty said, recruiting. The state of Texas is going to be watching.
100%.
100%. The state of Texas is watching.
Here's the thing that I was saying too, is that this is one of the things that the Texas High School Coaches Association is that it's so important. But Jimbo and really Sark too, they haven't really made themselves available to those guys, and I don't think that they're neither. Jimbo especially was absolutely not popular with those guys, and you need to be for recruiting purposes. What's the first thing that Elko did? He went and met with the leadership of them, and then he starts talking about being the flagship. That was a smart move, because Sark really hasn't done a great job with it either. I think he was better than Jimbo was, because Jimbo's just a bullshitter. But again, I think that what you've seen him come in and do, again, I don't know how much I believe in A&M ever anytime, but I like their quarterback situation very much, and I think defensively they're going to be pretty good. So plus you're playing at College Station, and almost nobody goes in there and wins. I mean, Alabama's lost a game in there. I mean, you know what I mean? It happens. It's going to be a tough place to play. They're not crazy like LSU or whatever. but
I think the 12th man gets loud, and they create
crazy people.
Right. Clemson. Yeah. I mean, they even did that for Clemson, you know, in Trevor's freshman year. He had to be first. It was Kelly. Then they put Trevor in, and they had to pull Trevor so Kelly could come in and save. I mean, that environment, I definitely think that 12th man helps them. But like I say, I just, how they been running from, it seems like Texas A&M's been running from Texas for whatever reason.
And there's been a lot of talk about them moving to the Big Ten or something. I mean, that I don't know how. I don't even know that.
Hey man, they don't even have a Waffle House within 30 miles. Come on,
man. The Texas legislation immediately shut that shit down. That's not happening. But how weak sauce would that look if you ran from them again? What a weak ass move,
bro. I think that, I'm not saying that's like like the death penalty to SMU, but recruiting wise, that definitely wouldn't help, dog. In Texas, like it'd be hard pressed for me to think you get a big time recruit out of Texas if you did that. Like you might get some 3 stars, which not saying they're bad, but like the high 4-star, 5-star guys.
They're not struggling with recruiting those still. They're still not.
Yeah, they're not.
No.
I'm just saying if they ran from Texas again, though, like
Oh,
if
I
they
agree.
ran, see, the first time they ran from Texas, they ran into the SEC. So they had, hey man, we're in the SEC, come over here. You know, now they can't really pitch that. And then if they ran to the Big Ten, they're like, man, y'all, it's like, what y'all doing, dog? I'm
And
from
that's why it is
Texas. I don't want to
just
go play at
important
the
for
Big Ten.
Oklahoma for the same reason. They're all going for those same cats. You know, we're recruiting against them for everybody in that state. That's why it's important that Oklahoma doesn't I mean, I will say this again. I said it the other day. Thank God Lincoln Riley is at USC because they would be fucked. Completely fucked.
Yes, it would be. I mean, you know, I still have my receipts when people were like, oh, you guys weren't saying that crap about Lincoln when he was there. No, I was calling us Texas Tech North mid-second season because I couldn't stand, and we were so good that we could just make mistakes, drop the ball. Yeah, and it was just bad. But no, I mean, I think that
putting wallpaper up and painting over bullshit that was a big problem.
Yeah, and Lincoln
but it was
Riley
a conference. You know?
But you understand that A&M never even looked at Lincoln Riley this offseason because they knew what they were wanting. They knew what it was because his name was on that chart and then his name was off when they came out with their list. And you're telling me that any other university is going to sit there and say, we need a head coach and we're not willing to look at Lincoln Riley. It's stuff around here. People know who he was. You know, people know everything about him.
Is a bigger prospect as a coach than Lincoln. And who would have thought that 2 years ago?
Ryman Lemon has a point about the A&M. He said he didn't think they, ran from Texas. So, kind of got screwed. And that's true. While that may be true, and I definitely could see that, Ryman, perception is reality. So everybody on the outside looking in perceived it as them running from Texas.
Well, he ran, yeah.
But yeah, I see what you're saying.
That was when Dan Beebe went behind the conference's back. He got his ass fired over this, by the way. That was the commissioner before. It's been a shit show in the Big 12 for a long time. When Dan Beebe was he knew about the whole Longhorn Network thing long before. He didn't shut any of it down. It almost imploded the entire conference then. And in fact, it would have, had it not been for the Pac-12 saying, fuck that, we're not going to let you come in here. And we have our own network, or they were trying to do their little Pac-12 network. This would have been over a long time ago. It's been so poorly managed, but they kissed Texas's ass. And wait and see. Texas is going to continue to try to get their way in the SEC. You guys will hate Texas soon. Believe me. You will. Because they will weasel their way into shit that you won't think they should be able to, but they will.
See, the difference is in the Big 12. In the Big 12, to be honest, y'all were beating them, but on the outside, if you're not in the Big 12, Texas was the brand. He coming to that. Listen, I mean, Grant Sankey a different dude, dog. Like he's like my brand is the brand. So I don't like. I love to have Texas. It's like I tell my AAU kids, I want you, but I don't need you. So when you try to do all that stuff, that's not going to fly like it did in the Big 12 because Oklahoma and Texas had that pull power. Like, what was the Big 12 going to say to Oklahoma and Texas? I mean, what were they going to say? I mean, no, dog, you can't do that. Like, they didn't want to lose their two biggest brands. Well, y'all come over to, y'all are big brands in the SEC, but you're not the only big brands.
No,
in the
that's
SEC.
the big
we're not saying that. I'm saying
no. I'm just saying. So when Texas tries those things,
weasel their way around that,
it's more of a welcome to the flock,
right? So when Texas tries those things, Sankey be like, I mean, that's nice, dog, but it's still the SEC. Like, you can't be like, well, we're Texas, we'll pull our money. Sankey's like, okay.
but coach, that's what we're saying is like that's common sense. That doesn't reside in Austin.
That's not. I'm not saying they're not going to try it. I'm not saying they're not going to try it. I just don't think it's going to be as I guess
it's like Mizzou acting like they're a good program when they've won 10 games once in a freaking decade. It's just as crazy, but this is exactly what we're talking about.
They got that SEC mindset.
They're gonna try to change the rules, no horns down, and that shit. That's
what Hank just threw down is the horns down penalty. I mean, it's
listen, you're not supposed to do the Gator thing, and then like
not in their face is what you're not supposed to do. Yeah, but you're not supposed to point in somebody's face either.
It doesn't stop people from doing it though.
No. It's going to be great.
And throw the horns down either. But Rodney Terry will go chase your team down.
Well, he might as well get ready for that because it's gonna happen. I mean, come on, dog. People like South Carolina tore up the hedges. I mean, it's just things that you think people won't do. It's gonna be done. That's just
this is the beauty of the SEC, though, is that they're all fucking crazy and they will act the fool every weekend. It's I keep hearing about this neck stuff at LSU. I've never seen it. Never know what they're talking. I don't know what they're talking about, but
it's wild. The band plays. It's a song. It's a song that the band plays, and it's crazy, man. That's how it. Whatever games you can go to on the road, I suggest you try to go because the atmosphere is. It's like Oklahoma has a big stadium. It's like playing in front of that many people every single week outside of going to Vandy and currently Mizzou. Give them a couple of years.
It's Texas. I was just trying to look at the schedule because I was thinking, where's their first away game? Their first away game is in the SEC. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games in at Vandy. And so Vandy's going to get Vandy's going to be the first fans that are it's so it's at Vandy.
While they won't be Rabbit fans, the tailgating scene in Nashville is nice.
Oh, it's Nashville. It's Nashville,
right?
Yeah.
This is they're giving them a nice little pillow to land on when they get to the SEC. Is what
that too. I'm just saying, like Vandy's got like a little, that tailgate scene is. I didn't say that about the game.
Yeah,
the tailgate scene. You want to go tailgate in Vandy.
They got Georgia. They got Georgia the week before, so that's their awakening. But their first SEC game, their first SEC game is Mississippi State at home. If they got to go there, I would love to see those hillbillies just light into Texas. That's going to be. I might go to that game next year.
It's different playing in front of the Cowbells, though.
No doubt. They're wilding down there too, and it's weird that they've taken offense to. I mean, I didn't even say anything bad about them when Levy got down there. I was like, I hope they do well, and I do hope Jeff does well. He's an Oklahoma guy, We were a little pissy at him last year at times, but I gotta say, I hope he does a good job down there and does. But they were weird, huh?
He loses every game.
That's a home game.
Loses every game. I don't care.
I mean, that's a road game y'all can miss.
Stark Vegas, yeah, I'm good on that. I've been to Stark Vegas before. The Cowbells will drive you damn nuts, and then. I want to go to the South Carolina game, but I also that Rooster shit is going to drive you nuts.
Hey man, listen, if it's a night game,
I will say this. Let me take this back. I will say this. Ole Miss, now they have some of the most beautiful women on campus that I don't ever seen.
Hey, listen.
There you go, Jason. Have at it.
Them and LSU.
What did you say? What did you say? Who did you say?
Them at LSU.
Ole Miss.
Oh yeah,
LSU.
Oh, bro. Yeah.
Oh, Jason, if you go like their tailgates, oh my God, on their campus, those are some of the most beautiful Southern women that you're gonna see.
Absolutely, and they all got money too. Shit.
But in 2025, Jason, though, if you can go to, and it's not a now if it's a noon snoozer, then you might can miss Columbia. Columbia's not like a city you want to roll.
That's a late game for us. We're rocking 11 a.m. We don't even understand what it means to play.
We hate noon. Yeah, we hate noon games. So if they make it a night game, you definitely got to go.
Well, the first 3 games, they're all at 3:30, right? The first 3 games that they announced it today for Oklahoma.
Yeah, they're all 2:30.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, you know what, baby?
That's something I never thought about. Are you guys the farthest west of any SEC team?
Yes. But not by much.
How does travel affect y'all?
Well, I mean, we were going to West Virginia.
It's still pretty well in their footprint. Yeah, there's to be honest with you, until you get to the Florida, I mean, when you go to Florida or South Carolina, it would be the furthest one away. But even that, really, it's not terribly far. I mean, it's drivable.
No, we went to West Virginia, and West Virginia and Cincinnati this year, and Ames isn't.
I went to
Ames
Cincinnati.
isn't a fun trip.
But I mean, Ohio's a pretty good ways.
I think they did. I think they did good with y'all as far as that's concerned. I think they did good with y'all first year schedule. I'm not saying that it's not hard, but as far as distance, I think the furthest you got to go this year has to be Auburn.
A lot of OU fans in Augusta. I didn't know that.
There are.
Yeah, going to Auburn, that's y'all furthest game this year. Now next year, your furthest game will be
Georgia.
South Carolina. Because the first 2 years you keep the same.
Yeah,
schedule.
we're not going to play Georgia.
That's right.
Yeah, you're just flipping.
Unless I just say this is if Oklahoma makes it to the SEC championship game, you realize they go Mizzou, Alabama, LSU, Georgia.
Oh, yeah, that's tough.
No bye week.
That's tough. Yep, and I think that's another game. If we're talking about games that, I mean, look, the Ole Miss game will be fun at the Grove, but I think going to LSU is, and it's the last game of the season. I think that's one of those. It looks like they're trying to build a.
It looks like they're trying to set it up for a night game too, because they moved the Georgia Tech. They moved the Ole Miss, the Egg Bowl. They're both on Friday. The Egg Bowl used to be on Thanksgiving, but I think that they may be trying to set you guys up for a night game.
I'm sure they are. And
see, that's the thing about the conference, man. It's a battle of attrition.
Absolutely.
Right? You know what I'm saying? Like that week in and week out. Oh,
you've got those, but really, Oklahoma's the way it sets up. It's probably better than like there's a few of those times where you were talking about how some of these schools they're going to go and they're going to play. Well, Auburn, they've got to play Alabama, and then they got to turn around and or they play Oklahoma, and then they got to turn around and play Bama. Oklahoma, they've either got a bye week before their biggest. You got a bye week before Texas, and then you've got your other bye week is before. You've got the main game that got the replacement for the Georgia game from last year, whatever the way that all worked itself out. That one's before Alabama, and then but then of course you got Bama, and then you close out with LSU. So that's going to be. But it's between the Missouri game, and I think the other bye week is like right before Ole Miss, isn't it?
The first bye for y'all is before Texas. The second one is after Mizzou, before Alabama. I think to Coop's earlier point, going to Auburn, again, I don't think it's the first test out there. Again, I think Tennessee's the first test, but to Coop's point, I feel like because of the hype,
the road in the SEC is not going to be.
I think because of the hype, because it's the first SEC game, there's going to be a lot of emotions there. You know what I'm saying? And can you, like a lot of times when you have that high of emotion, sometimes you be low. You can start slow, and you're playing at Auburn, where I feel like Auburn is. You saw my post on Twitter. It's one of the loudest stadiums in the SEC. And now, like you say, Peyton Thorne's not scaring anybody, but. Again, coming off of the emotional, whether it's right, whether it's a win or a loss, that's going to be a very emotional game for the Tennessee. And because of the hype, people are going to be really hyped up. And can you sustain that, level of intensity mentally going into Auburn, where they're going to be?
I think that's rowdy. The question anyway. I think that's the question anyway, even coming off of last year, because after you won the game against Texas, then you turn around and almost lost to UCF and did lose.
Somebody said that in the comments. Y'all typically play like flat the week after Texas, and you guys.
And I think South Carolina. More of that was at the end of Stoops and going into Lincoln, that you always had that. But I think that the hope is that. Yeah, I mean, we still had some issues and stuff in the last couple of years, but I also think that that's what you're hoping that has evolved out of it with BV and some of the things that he's trying to do. We're going to find out.
And Jason, we went, Shawty, if you don't know this, we went over the stadiums of the remaining Big 12, and the largest one was 63,000. So Jordan Hare is 88. So, I mean, so you supplant a 45,000 stadium for Jordan Hare. And I mean, and so, yeah, I mean, it is, you leave, you're going somewhere new. And I mean, last time
I think that those are some of the things that, as much as we believe in this team, that's it's going to battle test you, though. I think that by the end of the year, if you can you got to survive, get to 3, no more than 3 losses, you still got a shot at the playoff. And I think that's, if you can aim for 9-3, that's a good.
What makes Jordan Hare.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, guys. I think I have a delay, but I'm gonna tell you what I think makes Jordan Hare. So the stadium itself, like, I don't think there's no other stadium in the SEC that has their sideline, the actual seating as close, to the benches. That's why
it looks like Norman. It looks like Norman. It looks like Norman. That's what makes Norman, Gaylord Memorial is like, you're not too far. Like, dudes hit the brick wall when they run out of bounds all the time. Like it's right on top of it. But
it's like that in Stillwater too. I mean, Stillwater.
Well, like Coop was saying with bringing up the Big 12 stadiums, like you guys go from when you play in the Red River, you got 100, 90, 100,000, whatever. But then every other game is like 63,000, 40,000. Whereas this year it's going to be, you play at home in front of like a large crowd because you guys got like 90,000, whatever it is. Then you turn around and play in front of another 90,000. Then you play Texas in front of another 90,000. Then you play South Carolina back at home, 90,000. You go to Ole Miss, you play at like 80,000. It's like back to back to back. It's constant now.
When you go to these smaller stadiums, they're also closer in on top of you. And you go to Stillwater, it's rowdy in there, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
You hear about stuff at Austin Stadium and then at Oregon and stuff, and it's one of the craziest places in the country. They talk about it a lot.
That's because of how their construction is. It's like the sound doesn't escape the
and I think BYU similar like that as well. And
the acoustics
definitely like that.
Yeah. But but when you like I say, when you after you play a hard fought game against Tennessee, then you go to Jordan Hare and you like, wow, you know what I'm saying? Like I say, just from a noise.
It's also going to tell you.
Go ahead, Sean.
My bad, Cole. Like I said, I think I have a delay. I apologize, guys. But it's also going to tell you about Brent Venables too, because this is going to be something that a lot of, especially new head coaches, and it sucks that he's learning in the SEC, but you're going to have to motivate these guys week in, week out after these hard, draining games. Like, a lot of coaches can't get these kids and keep them motivated for 12 weeks in a row.
I think that's the best thing about this coach, though, is that's not where he has a problem, though. They are buying into what he does, and he talks about it all the time. That one of my favorite press conferences that he had last year was that he was saying one of the guys was like, you can't what did he say? You can't simulate what you're going to get in the game. He goes, what do you mean you can't? Yes, you can. You better be coaching it as hard as if it was in the Super Bowl if we're not doing that as coaches, motivation is like his strong suit, right? And he's the guy that, when the fans have come down on Levy or him or anything like that, he's like, yeah, that's what they're supposed to do. This is Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the kids, they love it. And here's the other thing. All this disrespect has really, I love it because the kids see it. They've a couple of the guys that have podcasts and YouTube shows, and they're like, they fucking hate on us. Fuck them. They hear it and they know it and they don't like it. And they're like, nobody's giving us no love, but that's okay. I
think from an OU fan, I think you guys say it's hate. I think from outside, it's more that people mostly are showing Texas way more love. It's not that they're hating OU. I personally haven't seen it.
A lot of people are not like you, Coach. A lot of people are saying there ain't no way they're going 6-6, 5-7.
Well, I saw the predictions for the 7.5. I mean, even Vegas put it at 7.5, and then I want to say our guy Crane and Company said like 7 in the first year. I don't know necessarily think like I think it's a lot of again it's some Texas hype, you know.
But here's the thing.
Not necessarily OU hate. It's more Texas hype. If
but guys, here's the thing. Here's the thing that you're missing about the Texas hype. The Texas hype is not new to this year. The Texas hype is every damn year. The only thing is different, and I'm going to say something that may affect, but you got to get your big boy feels on now, is why most OU fans don't like it right now, because it could be true finally. Because they saw what happened last year, and it could be true. They could be here. I'm not in that boat. I'm not in that boat, though, because I know this. You lose your top 4 offensive weapons.
That's a good point.
You lose your top 4 defensive players.
That's the other side of the coin.
There. And your top 5 offensive weapons and top 5 defensive players.
Yes.
But see, I think what Coop is saying is right. To jump in here, Coop, but like you know, while Jason, you know, you may have some guys to replace it. When they talk about Oklahoma, they talk about all the people that you're missing, all the people that you lost, not who could be replacing. But I know, I'm just saying like 4 offensive linemen or whatever. But when they talk about Texas, we all know Texas lost just as much, if not more talent. But they talk about, it doesn't matter because they got Isaiah Bunn, they got this guy, and they got this guy. Like I said, I don't know if it's more like they're not saying to OU, they trash or whatever. It's just that they're showing so much love to Texas. They're not
giving has finally returned.
I'm just saying I think as an OU fan, I can see why you're like, well, hold on. We not the invisible, child here. We got more Big 12 championships in the last 2 decades than them.
Look. Respectfully,
since the Big 12 started,
when you're done, I want to finish hearing what Coop had to say.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm just saying that with Texas, I mean, you literally like Quinn Ewers is a few mistakes away from we want Caleb Williams. Like that's coming. That is coming. And it is going to be big because of who is behind him. He's already a faulty quarterback. Already a freaking faulty quarterback, and now he doesn't have.
He won the game at Alabama. He's lost the rest of the games that have mattered.
And listen, those 2 games against Alabama are the best 2 games Quinn Ewers has ever played. He doesn't have very many more of those games.
So, but to your point, Coop, like you said, what if it is true? What if Texas? None of us has said that. None of us have said that, but. On the other side of the coin, what if what you're saying is true? What if some fans, not necessarily ones here, but some OU fans are thinking like, what if Texas is bad?
I think that's what Texas OU fans are scared of.
That's what a lot of them are.
Absolutely are.
Because that's something new to you guys.
You know why they're scared of that? Because Switzer came out and said that shit last year that he didn't like it because it's going to be like playing Texas every week, he said.
Okay.
I think it scared the shit out of some of those, especially those older guys.
See, I didn't know you said that. Oh, okay.
So my thought process is very
that's
legitimately.
That's a good statement. Playing Texas every week. Okay.
Yeah. So because you have to gear yourself up. You don't gear yourself up to go up to Lawrence and play in front of 23,000 people, which 3/4 of them are OU fans, and that's where you lose that game. When you run train on Oklahoma
30 years.
Yeah. I'm just saying is like when you come off of Texas, it's hard to get up when you go into a 40,000 person stadium. It's just hard. That is hard. And in the Big 12 let's just be honest, since 2000, OU has been the persons you knock off. So you're getting their best, everybody's absolute best shot all the time, and they're willing to do anything because they got nothing to play for. Nothing. That is not going to be the case. Now we get Texas. We get the perception of Texas every single week. But let's just be but I'm also saying if we lose to Georgia, I'm not going to be like, man, F Georgia, F the SEC. I'm going to be like, okay, now we know what to do. If we lose to Alabama,
you're going to get better. I think battle testing this football team is exactly what you needed for a long time, man.
Yeah.
It's why we've pointed at 2025 as the year that you really should expect more out of Oklahoma. That should be the real year that you expect the most. I'm not saying that you can't make a run now. I'm saying 2025 is going to be your best chance. They're already and
listen, y'all keep screaming 2025, but that's my whole point about this year. All what you thinking, you don't know, but this year is going to definitely let you know where your program is.
Yes,
and after this year, you might be thinking maybe 2026, 2027. You just don't know. You see what I'm saying? Or you could overachieve.
I think that where they recruited and the depth that they have in the places that everybody says is where you have to win at. Oklahoma's ahead of Texas.
Well, he's saying that 2024 could be better than you think it's going to be.
I absolutely think 2024,
or it could be not as good. But I think 2024, regardless, like unless like the bottom falls out, and I'm not saying you two, but I know there's gonna be some OU fans. If y'all go 8-4, they're gonna lose their mind. I'm like, that's not a bad year in your first year in the SEC.
With a freshman quarterback.
I've tried to say that a little bit on the on this show quite a bit. That look, I don't think it's the end of the world if they do that,
because I think that's progress, to be honest with you.
But what I would tell you is that's not damn good and well that there's Georgia fans that would say the same shit if it was the same way flipped around, right? There gets to a point, and when you won 10 last year, but you lost to who you lost to, nobody's going to be okay with that. What?
It's the brand. It's the brand. Right. It like 8-4 is not something you don't understand.
Okay. I'm not saying that you should be happy with it. I'm not saying you should be happy.
No. I'm not arguing that point. I fully 100% agree with Shawty and what you're saying right now but we have a humongous faction of loud ass people on social media who are fans who really fully believe that there's something wrong if we don't go undefeated. I
think this is absolutely Greg. Danny and Billy, the backbones of the deep.
And
I'm going to tell you,
I agree with this. 100%.
I know what you're saying about this, and Coopton, I'm going to tell you, I'm saying this to you too. I know what you guys are saying about this. Danny and Billy, as good as they are not as good as these kids they're recruiting right now.
That's true.
They're not as good.
Y'all do know other teams are recruiting in 2025, right? Y'all do know other teams are trying to get better in 2025.
I'm not even talking about that. I'm saying these guys that are already here, or the guys that are already here or coming in this next class, they're already more talented as far as floor ceiling. It's a different story than Danny and Billy. I love
Jason,
Danny and Billy. I'm telling you.
I'm going to say this, Jason. I'm going to say this. I agree with this fully. I didn't read the whole thing here. I just think that 24 we can be better than was expected. But I will say this:
I've said 10-2 a lot. I've said 10-2.
I'm the one who says that Woody Washington and Jalil Farouk may not have a place on this team because the talent has surpassed them.
Correct.
And that's a starting cornerback who was an answered prayer for almost 2 seasons, and
we've been trying to kick Ethan Downs out of town for freaking 2 years already.
Yeah. But what Shawty was saying was, you know what? We go through this year, and maybe there is a chance that like it's okay. Well, we went 8-4 and we beat the hell out of a bowl team or whatever, but we went 8-4. Maybe we were not as forward as we thought we were as we were sitting in the Big 12. I personally think that's 100%. It is. This is a measuring stick because no matter what our thoughts and opinions are, is whatever happens this year, that is, you are what your record says you are, right? So you're going to see that and go, okay, all right, here we go. And so it's
who's the guy that said 2024 could be the year, not 2025, because of losing those guys. But this, to his point, like Jason, you're saying, and this is a possibility. This is a realistic possibility that you guys go 10-2. What if you go 10-2, and to Shawty's point, and then you turn around in 2025 because you're losing some of that experience, you got better talent, and then you go 8-4. How do you feel about that?
Here's the reason. Okay, I'll tell you that. I love that because here's the thing. The guys that they got following up Billy Bowman,
better talent. We're agreeing. But listen, I'm gonna tell you this: if we're just talking about throwing the ball, if we're just talking about listen. If we're just talking about throwing the ball, Carson Beck is a better thrower than Stetson. But
that's not what I'm saying. I get what I know what you mean.
So that's what I'm saying. You're saying the talent coming behind him is better, but that doesn't make up for the experience or things that Danny and Billy could do. So I could see you guys going 10-2 this year, and then possibly 8-4 in 20.
The reason that an experience is so important right now is because of the fact that you don't have any experience. What they want to do and what they're trying to do, and guys, everybody in there that's saying that they're the leaders of the team. No shit, we know that. It's important today. Next year, will it be as important? I would hope not, because you know what? They should be soaking up from these guys. If they're such leaders, they're teaching them. And look, what is Billy Bowman doing? He's doing film sessions on his own with all the safeties. The same with Danny. He's holding that linebacker room accountable. Your job, and what does BV say every time he hits the podium? Our job is to recruit guys that are going to take your job away.
Right.
So if this thing is working like it should be, and he's the guy for the job, then you don't worry about losing Billy Bowman and Danny Stutzman. That's why, because you've got better talent and they've learned from those guys. This year, it would be a bad thing if they weren't there, even though those guys are there. Next year, I don't think it's a big deal, because I think that they should have soaked it up. And look, this is how defenses, how do they get better every year? You might have a little bit of a drop off, but it didn't much of one at Georgia, right?
Well, it depends on like to be honest with you, it's from listen, if you think about it, in 2021, we was like compared to whoever you want to compare us to as far as the great. 2022, we were good. We were really good in defense. We wasn't 2021, but we was really, really good. Last year, we was like in the bottom third of the country in red zone defense. Right. And while we were good, we were good at not letting you get to the red zone. That's what the key was. But I'm just saying, even at Georgia, with the talent that we've had, there's still been some people where I'm not saying it's
one game in 3 years, bro. I don't want to hear that shit. I don't want to hear that shit. So again, this is where I'm saying, I'm telling you now, who's more talented in the linebacker room than Danny? Lewis Carter? Samuel Omosigho?
I think it's a move.
See, I only know Danny. I don't know those other two guys.
Yeah, so I mean,
top 100 guys, Danny wasn't that dude. I'm sorry, he just wasn't. And I love him, and I think he's been one of the greats. He's going to leave his mark here, and he might win the damn Butkus Award. But if his job is to get these other guys ready, and he knows that, does he not, Coop?
Yeah, I mean,
back me up on this.
I'm behind you.
You're
here,
not Danny level right now. Next year, Grey God, pay attention to what we're saying. I'm not saying. I said this year it's so important that Danny and Billy are here because they need their leadership this year. Next year, those guys are a year older and learned a year more of shit from Danny and Billy.
I think Coop's earlier statement is ringing true in these statements. People are kind of like subconsciously afraid that it's not gonna be the way that they want it to be.
They want to. Hey, look,
Coop,
everybody,
that one, Coop.
That was a great point, man.
24
I had to give Coop credit for that one.
Coop hit that. You gotta snip that one, dog, and then put it out there.
And you know what is. Please don't snip it, because people don't ever like dig into shit and they just be like, "Oh, that's some bitch." I mean, people already taking shots at me because
this all the time.
People already. So I don't know if you guys know, my Twitter got hacked. I had to start a new one like a month ago, and so some dude came after me. He was like, "Who the hell is this guy? Like, he only has 86 followers." And I was like, "Man, I'm not even going to spend time on responding to your dumbass." So, but yeah, no, it's so. I do. I think that there is a fear, and there is. That's what the Texas thing is, and it's not.
Was kidnapped.
Yeah, and so
I know the Cowboys was kidnapped.
That was positive. It was almost positive. He doesn't ever say anything positive. But no, I'm just saying that, like, I don't think that like Oklahoma fans are scared of Texas being back. I just think that we were king of the hill for so long. We don't want anybody else up there. Like, I still think some of the best OU Texas games are when Colt McCoy is going against Sam Bradford and we're a top 10. It's a top 10 matchup. And then I want them just to stay, in, December 28th bowls from that point on. But that's it. Is I think that a lot of OU fans, they don't want to think that Texas is actually back because we want them to go into, like, we want them to look like A&M. Like, that's it. Like, I personally, I don't really know if I think I'm,
I to your point, just to agree with you, I think it's that, but I also think it comes down to just sheer competition. You coming into a new conference, and how can Texas be better than us coming into the new conference?
They're not, but yes, absolutely. That's the fear because of the fact that 2 years ago you did get ran without your quarterback. You came back and won last year, but everybody's still giving all the love to Texas.
Right. And that's what I was saying. They're giving Texas a lot of love.
No, I absolutely agree with this entire sentiment. This stuff right here that Gregor is saying, he doesn't want to hear about 2025. Doesn't want to hear it. They will be better in 2025 than they are in 2024. If they go 10-2 or 11-1 and win the whole damn thing, they're still going to be better in 2025, bro.
That's true. But here's another thing: is there's another faction. There's people who are scared that Texas might actually be getting good again. But then there's another group of people that realize what Texas actually is, and it's infuriating to go, what are you guys looking at? Like, we don't understand what you're seeing. Like, you can't sit there and show every single effing Texas highlight from last year is a dude that's no longer there.
Right.
So that's where there's another faction of people going,
half as good. We all believe that, but what
I just don't want to share the cake.
But do you also understand you can be better in 2025, but also the conference can also be better in 2025?
We're not saying that it can't be. I'm saying that they're going to be better either way. I agree with what you're saying. with what you're saying. I'm not saying that I'm not guaranteeing shit for this football program. I'm not. I'll guarantee you that they will find the right coach until they get it right. I will tell you that. They're not going to it's not going to be okay because he just showed it to you. And I mean, it's all back here. The OU brand will never be okay with 8-4. They will not be okay with that ever. If he goes 8-4 2 years in a row, Brent Venables will have 1 year left at most.
Right. And at any contender, you're not gonna be happy with 8-4. We just, from a fan standpoint, because we don't really control anything but noise in the stadium. You know what I'm saying? It's like 8-4 ain't the end of the world. I'm not saying that you should want to be 8-4. I'm just saying, like, they shouldn't be coming on the show like, oh my God, what are we gonna do?
Bro.
Fire Brent Venables. Like, Brent Venables does not need to be on the hot seat after a 2024 8-4.
Absolutely
if that
not.
happens.
Absolutely not. But he won't be on the hot seat necessarily. But if he were to do it in 2025,
if he do it again, I see what you're saying. 2 years.
I mean, it wouldn't be a hot seat situation until after 2025 when he did it, because that should be the target. I mean,
it should
look,
be.
do I think that the timeline could have been moved up because of certain things that have happened in the SEC? Absolutely. Stink. Yes, he will be on the hot seat.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Do you remember when they wanted to throw his ass out of town as DC?
But
after they lost the national championship
but
game,
what if 2025 season is worse than 2024? To Coach's point, how does that work? Like, if you take
that would be bad.
Like if y'all go 10-2 this year, which again, like we've all talked about, that is, a possibility. But then you're a better team in 2025, but so is, you got to play
everybody else.
You get more games at home. When you get more of those games at home than you're getting on the road, and of these quote unquote good games, the good teams that they're playing this year, I think it's a bad deal if they don't. If they go 8-4 this year and go 10-2 in 2025, he's fine. If they go 10-2 in 2024 and go 8-4 in 2025, that's probably not going to be
Because I mean,
Great.
I think this year, I mean, you guys get Alabama at home and Tennessee at home. Then on the road,
What
you
is
of
it
course
that you guys are upset about, guys? I
I
don't
know.
understand what you guys are all pissy about.
I'm out heard enough of this.
I think they're not pissy. I think that it's almost 10:30 and we've been going for 2 hours.
We have been going.
I guess we didn't talk about the best rivalry.
Valid question.
Right. Let's talk about the best rivalry, Jason.
Starting shit as usual. Fucking shoddy every fucking time. Every fucking time.
So the Texas A&M said that the Red River rivalry was the best in the SEC day one. That was what we brought this up to do anyway, and I mean that's what we should be talking about. We're gonna find out whatever happens with Oklahoma, guys. You know how I feel about this. I think they're gonna go 10-2, 9-3 is probably where they land. One of those two. It wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if they went 8-4. We're not hating on OU. I'm telling you that whether they go 8-4 or 10-2 this year, they're going to be better in 2025. That's my belief. Dude, so he was out.
Oh, Steve left because you said BV would ever have a chance to be on the hot seat. What?
Listen, if you don't think that
bro, like anybody can be on the hot seat if they're not performing.
Yeah.
How many people wanted to fire his ass when he lost to Kansas State in week 4 of his first year?
Hey man, this college football, man, nobody's above being fired.
Yeah, it's the money. You can't fall behind, and that's why people are willing. That's why the ACC is doing the crazy that they're doing, is because they're falling behind, and they're not going to pull out of this. So let's talk about the best rivalry. Can we do that? That's a
right.
Were you surprised that Chris Del Conte said all that?
It's Texas. Well, I'm not surprised he said it. Anytime we talk college football rivalries, much less SEC rivalries, I always put the Red River in the top 3. I'm not mad if you put them 1, 2, or 3. I always think the Red River is. He mentioned the 300,000 people waiting outside. Yeah, but it takes more than attendance and atmosphere to be the best rivalry. You actually like what goes on inside the stadium, that plays a part too. So I mean, no other rivalry in the SEC needs the state fair. So like take away the state fair. I mean, yeah, you got the best of it. Yes, okay, it's at the state fair. But if Clemson, South Carolina was during the state fair in South Carolina, it'd be the same way.
Stupid thing for him to say that.
Right. So I think it's one of the top
benefits from the game more than the game benefits from the state fair. Believe that.
Yeah, I would have never been to the Texas State Fair in my entire life if it wasn't for OU Texas. Not once. I would never consider, and it's 4 hours away. It's not like I got to travel.
Thing I've ever heard out of that jackass.
You got to tout the actual game, the camaraderie between the fans and things of that nature. Because I mean, it's not like there's no TCU fans at the state fair. I mean, there's a couple there, you know what I'm saying, or Houston fans or whatever.
But not at that game. There's not. That game is split down the middle, orange crimson. I mean, I've been to the game 3 times in my life.
Georgia, Florida.
In the stadium,
you can see the difference. Where I mean,
I'm not talking about the stadium. So you telling me there's no SMU fans that go to the state fair?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying
that's what I said. That's what I said. I never said the game. That's what I said. I said this.
I don't know how many people are really at the fair. Anyways, the 3 times I've been, I mean, we go pretty much straight to the stadium and leave every time. I mean.
Not according to Texas AD. There's people just standing.
That's what I said. I thought that was a stupid thing for Del Conte to say, was that part. Because to me, the game supports the reason why they keep wanting to sign it and they pay a lot of money to Oklahoma and Texas to do it there is because of the fact that otherwise nobody would give a shit. And that place is in a terrible neighborhood. A terrible neighborhood.
I think the Iron Bowl, I think it's I don't know. Like I say, the 3 that I always have in college football is always Ohio State, Michigan, Red River, and the Iron Bowl.
Yeah,
I don't know if you come in, like I say, I get that they definitely have more people on the outside and all that, but I don't know if they come in and like supplant the Iron
Hey,
Bowl.
why do we have to say that one is better than the other?
Right.
That's my question.
That was my thing when I heard it on TV. I'm like, why we just can't say it's just as good, or we just got some great rivalries? Because I mean, if you ain't never been to the cocktail party,
different experience.
That's where that's like that tier 2.
I want to go to all of them. I want to go see all of these damn games.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'll be honest with you. Go to the Egg Bowl. Go to the Egg Bowl.
Absolutely.
Like, they may not be good teams, but the rivalry, they hate each other.
I'll tell you another one that's like that. The Holy War, and it's staying in the Big 12.
Right.
Now that they've got Utah and BYU.
Bro,
whoa.
You don't. Hey, listen, Coach Shawty, you don't understand. I have people hopping in my mentions all the time, Utah fans, saying like, "Don't worry, the new daddy's coming. We'll whip up on everybody's ass." Once we get there, especially BYU. And like the Utah fans are coming in thinking they're going to be the new Oklahoma. And the only thing they can think of outside of that is Utah, BYU. They hate each other.
Dog, I'm a college football fan. The Holy War is definitely top 5, though. Like, for sure.
Well, is it though? Because I got to tell you, I mean,
so.
Army, Navy is big. The Iron Bowl, the game, the Red River, the cocktail shootout, and Army Navy. That I don't know that you can get. I mean, I think that and then what about the backyard brawl? They hate the shit out of each other too. Here's what I would tell everybody: this is a regional thing. Out here, there ain't nothing bigger. There is nothing bigger in this part of the country that we live in than Texas, Oklahoma, and that includes the Texas Bowl.
Yeah. Well, as far as the Iron Bowl is concerned, hey man, it's a dude that died in jail because he was in jail for poisoning some trees because of the rivalry, dog. Again, like, that's crazy.
But Brinsky said it's not up for debate. It is absolutely up for debate, Brinsky.
Right.
Because it depends on where the hell you live, and you know what, you can whatever metric suits you the most is fine. But I can come up with one to combat every fucking thing you say. I guarantee it.
Y'all ain't never poisoned no trees. Y'all ain't never
listen.
No trees.
And I'm pretty sure they've put people in that Red River before.
Yeah. So Sharpshooter says it. FSU Miami. That's one
No. Ask any Florida State fan. They don't like Miami, but they hate Florida. I'm telling you, I did a video on this, and they just came from me like, nah, it ain't like that with Miami. It's like we don't like them. But they wouldn't piss on Florida if they was on fire. Like, they hate.
They all hate each other. Yeah. That's
Florida State is a bigger rivalry than Florida State Miami.
Okie Light, fuck them too. You know what I mean? I get it, but it's.
I pity them. I don't even hate them. I just pity them. Like, it's just
they talk too much shit. They're like Missouri right now. They don't have shut the fuck up.
It's the fans. Listen, it's
college football, baby.
Yeah,
that's college. But yeah, I mean,
USC Notre Dame is another huge one. Yes, hey,
but I don't know. You know the reason why I don't have them
in Lincoln, Coach.
Right, but I'm gonna say, like, so historically, I definitely have them up there. But like, if you be around the fans or talk to the fans, like Texas OU, like Jason, you're an OU fan. You haven't done a show since I've known you for the past 2 years without saying horns down at least once. Notre Dame and USC I don't feel like I feel like there's a couple of people that hate the other one, and then when they play each other, they hate each other. But like, I don't think Notre Dame spends their whole off season thinking about USC and vice versa. Whereas,
I don't know. You should ask USCJ about that. He hates them, and Coach definitely.
Yeah.
Coaches,
I can see there'll be a like just a random post on social media, and somehow a Texas guy can make it about Oklahoma, or Oklahoma can make it about Texas. I don't see that.
Without them being in a conference, they've probably been the most consistent team they don't play.
Yeah,
right. That's a rivalry because they play each other. But I don't know. My cousins play OU.
I would say that it also, you have to have more than like 1,100 interested college football fans in the state of California for them to be mentioned in any of this stuff. Because I want to say USC, UCLA, but
I don't know, man. If you watch those streams that USCJ does and the Voice of College Football guys, they get a lot of people in there, and they're fucking wild, man. They are.
Yeah, all of them. Every single one that likes college football is in there. Everybody else is doing California shit.
Right.
I mean, it's not the same as it is out here and in the South for sure. I promise you it's not, but it's definitely crazy.
That's what I would say. I just felt overall the USC Notre Dame intensity isn't a Red River. Iron Bowl. It's not an Iron Bowl. It's not a cocktail party. It's not a Michigan Ohio State. But I think it's a good rivalry. I'm gonna be honest with you, dog. If you ask me who's more intense, then it's Clemson and South Carolina over Notre Dame and USC because they literally missed bowl games because of fights breaking out in the brawl on the field.
I was hoping, I mean, we should have got Statham to come on here with that one too, because he calls them the taters and all that shit. Now he hates them. Yeah,
listen. I'm telling you, like house divided, not eating at Thanksgiving time, and it's crazy.
You know, the Gundys always talked about that because Kel played for Oklahoma and Mike played at Oklahoma State. He was supposed to play at Oklahoma too, but because of Troy Aikman and then
Jamel
Holloway, he didn't end up. He went to Oklahoma State. But they talked about Thanksgivings where they would fucking have fist fights at the table.
We heard it from our guy Seawalt, Clemson fan, and his brother is a South Carolina fan, and he's like, they just don't talk about it at Thanksgiving. They just don't talk about it. You know what I'm saying?
That's most of my family are.
That's the best way to go. Just don't talk about it.
Said Cowboy said he got into it with his cousin. That's awesome, bro. That's awesome.
Yeah, I my whole family. So my I was a baseball player and played Kansas, played Oklahoma, and the my uncles are Oklahoma State guys. My uncle played or coached with Coach Ward, and I mean that my upbringing was Oklahoma State baseball, and so when I became a Sooner fan, working at a radio station, calling the weather and playing the commercials for Sooner football and basketball and stuff like that, I just fell in love with Oklahoma at that point, and we don't talk about stuff because it just turns into a fight, and nobody half the ladies just want to bounce out, and
it's like Cody, winning. I mean, Cody Stovall. I mean, we love him, but these guys beat him to death every time he comes on the show. He is such a good sport for an Okie Light fan because they kill him. I like Cody too, but he's a rare one. The Locked On Oklahoma State guy.
Has he turned 18 yet?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what? Cody's been through some shit that he doesn't really care. You know what I mean? He lost his leg in the military, so he don't really,
Oh, we're not talking about the same guy. Who's the guy who came on with us one time? He was an OK State guy, but he was like 17.
No, that was just Cody had shaved his face that show, I think.
Oh yeah, that was Tim. Yeah, Tim was talking about he was a 12-year-old because
right. He Brinsky off and made him have to get on.
Right.
No, I just got Brinsky's here because Brinsky, we got a bone to pick with him. Come on in, brother. Welcome to the show. You should have
been running around, man. Running around.
You knew better.
Here we go. Yeah, I'm just listening to y'all, and I'm just hearing this nonsense, man. Stop
with the nonsense talk because I can argue every point with you, and I can. And I just
what is it that you speak of?
Huh?
What's the nonsense? What's the nonsense?
What is this nonsense you speak of?
It's only
Auburn
one.
Hasn't been relevant in how long since Cam Newton was there? What are we talking about?
That's definitely not the case.
They just lost to New Mexico State last year. Tell me more.
I'm about to say Auburn probably done more in the last 10 years than you guys.
No, they haven't.
What is this?
Risky coming in on fire.
No, I'm just messing with you.
I was like, I see the chronic. I see the the chronic posters behind him, and he done went too deep.
He's been hitting the chronic for a while.
Oh god. Oh my god,
Risky, my heart. my heart's going.
But y'all know what's number one rivalry, man. Come on, man. We if you talking about Auburn Auburn ain't been relevant. Okay. If you want to say Auburn hasn't been relevant, okay. But we just gonna act like Texas
is an older rivalry. I can argue
last
that
time
one too.
Texas was relevant when we played them in the national championship game. before last year. That was the last time they were relevant. Texas been back every year since then. Oh, Texas is back. Texas is back. Come on, man. That's been a lopsided rivalry, man. The games are not good.
Yeah, Oklahoma's 17-8 in the last 25. That's how good Texas is.
That's what I'm saying.
So basically, what you're saying is in the two rivalries, Auburn is Texas. Texas is Auburn. So
yeah, that's. I'm counting. I'm counting on the other screen right now.
Actually, if we compare Texas and Auburn won it in 2010, and in 2017 they was in the SEC championship. I don't know what but the Texas did make the Natty last year. So
they made
playoffs. I'm sorry, the playoffs.
But then Auburn made it to the national championship in 2014.
That is right, in 2014.
And they ruined the SEC's winning streak.
You right,
which I'm not mad about because I didn't want to see them win. I don't care about the SEC,
especially not with a former Georgia player.
What's the difference? What's the difference, though? Is it okay? There's different metrics that we can argue. We can talk about that. What's more important? The game, blah 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 blah. Okay, or is it hatred and how many people care? Because I can tell
what
you,
is Coop doing? Taking down stats.
I promise you.
I'm looking at the past 20 years.
There
the
is no shortage of hate on either side of the Red River in comparison to what Auburn and Alabama.
Y'all ain't poison no trees.
Ain't no.
Rest in peace to
Red River, though. I promise you, we've done that.
Rest in peace to the late great Harvey Updike. That poison tree.
That's a great story. And maybe Paul Feinbaum. Man, good for Paul Feinbaum.
To this day, bro, I understand, like, let's not mess with people's property. Okay, I'm cool with it. But, bro, it's just trees. I got trees in my backyard.
I don't understand why the hell those trees mattered either.
They're sacred.
This is my sacred. Like Jason was saying
because they throw toilet paper on there? Come on, man. That was like the most weirdest thing. Everything about
that's how deep the rivalry is.
F Toomer's corner, F Arby, F that eagle. I wish somebody just had a gun and just shot the eagle. Everything.
He does not express the sentiments.
Man, I hate everything Auburn.
You hold on. I'm gonna give you're making me have to give a freaking. You're gonna really do this to my channel, Coach?
Peter,
come on.
It's not me.
Yeah,
Peter. Yeah. It's not the FanAttic, Peter. It's not.
Hey. Hall of Fame college football is not responsible for the comments that came out of Brinsky Sharp's mouth just now.
Man, F everything Auburn. Everything. I can't stand nothing about Auburn. Auburn, like, for real, man. If my child wanted to go to Auburn, that's cool. If they paying for it, I don't care who's paying. If they want to go to Oklahoma, I don't care as long as they paying for it.
Stephen G, regardless of how you feel about it, man, Bama Auburn is not Bedlam, bro. Come on now.
Let's not do
that. Bedlam is not on that level.
I would tell anybody go to the Iron Bowl one time.
Red River and Iron Bowl is comparable, but not Bedlam, dog.
they don't understand. Nobody's watching that. I can promise you. They watching the Iron Bowl. I don't care how bad Auburn is. They're still watching the Iron Bowl. They're not watching that. Come on.
This whoever this Texas fan is, the Rager or whatever, nobody cares what you're talking about, bro. They're 17-8 against you in the last 25 years because you can pop up and do 1 year out of every decade and a half. Nobody gives a fuck.
OU is 17-8 against Texas in the last 25 years, dog. They won like 8 Big 12s in a row.
Exactly. Like, come on.
Not even exaggerating.
Don't tell me about shit that happened when there was the leather helmet era, clown.
Matter of fact, I even go that far.
Conference championship.
You take away that Vince
14-4.
You take away that Vince Young national championship. You guys haven't won since the 70s. Like, let's stop.
When was their last national title before then?
The 70s.
The 70s.
Probably like the early 70s.
Hey,
late 60s. Late 60s. Because we was having an argument about it.
Oh, I don't know.
That's the only reason I would remember that.
Well,
you know my boy on my channel, man, the Haven, he a big Texas guy. And he was just so happy that they beat us. I'm like, bro, that's still not gonna change. We still beat y'all in the national championship game. It doesn't matter.
Whew, we don't know nothing about not having no championship for 30 years, but
yeah, 40.
I said 30.
Yeah,
hey, I'm gonna continue.
I like Curry, man. Curry, man, guy.
When they pop,
As I said 30 instead of 40.
Yeah, I know. That's why I couldn't let you get away with that one. I couldn't let you get away with that one.
It's almost like,
hey, we made up for it back to back.
Oh yeah,
it's like these Big Ten schools though that talk about their freaking, they win. What, it's 3 national championships in the last 60 years, and they act like they're the same as any of the teams in the SEC.
Oh man,
what are we talking about?
Don't even get me started.
I want to know what Coop in the kitchen cooking, man. Y'all don't look. He in there cooking, man. Y'all see Coop
writing it up.
Y'all ready?
You've been looking up the last 20 years of rivalry between Red River and the Iron Bowl.
All right, so I'm tired of doing these numbers for a bunch of losing teams. So I stopped at 2010. Auburn is 110-71 in that time frame. Texas is 113-68. They have 3 games difference.
Auburn is Texas. Texas is Auburn.
Except for Auburn has done more.
Right. They have.
This was a better rivalry right there. Nebraska was definitely a better rivalry. Absolutely.
Back in the day. Right.
Yeah, back in the day.
Right.
Yep.
But man, I don't even like it. Feel like when I'm giving the Iron Bowl credit, I'm giving Auburn credit, and I'm not trying to give Auburn no credit. I ain't even try to
don't do it.
I said something about Oklahoma. I meant what I said, but at the same time,
hey.
You ain't gonna
want to have this conversation right now, Brinsky?
No. It was Chris. Chris was starting with me when I was saying something about the Iron Bowl. Then he said something about Bedlam, and I was like, "Come on now, don't do that." Now that's when it got disrespectful. I was like, "Come on now."
I heard you say last night though on Ty's show, and I couldn't believe I heard this shit. I could not
off the
believe
rails. The mustard's off the hot dogs, fellas.
He said, "Okay, let me I'm gonna make sure I get it right."
I can't wait either. Too soon, cowboy.
Oh, Brinsky, I know I did not just hear you say scrub and underachiever. That diatribe you went on, you called Oklahoma scrubs and underachievers.
Now, come on, Jason.
Hold on. You followed that statement up, telling everybody how Lane Whiffen was going to be a team to beat.
I said this. Nah, I did say all
Lane
this. Hold on.
Whiffen.
Hold on. I'm gonna start with the first one.
Oh, piss.
Jason, can you admit that you guys have underachieved?
No. I think that they've overachieved for what they've had in the last freaking.
Wait, Britsky, I'm entertained on this. Overachieved in what? Like this past couple of years, the past decade? What do you mean?
Like I think they give like
Jason, move me down beside Shawty and put Britsky in the middle so he can bounce y'all.
I feel like I'm getting jumped now. Now I'm getting jumped.
You're getting jumped. Here we go.
Now I feel I don't feel loose no more. But all them Baker Mayfield teams, they really love to overhype those guys. Those guys.
Hold on. They didn't
stand on it, Brisky.
They had to play two sides. We played one side of the football.
Yeah.
They could have won. They could have won. They should have won the Natty.
You're helping his
which year?
Which year? The year they lost to Georgia,
they should have won the blender.
That's the only one that they were the best team, I thought. Period. It was the only one they even had any chance to win.
Okay, so let's just say they beat Georgia. Now they facing us.
They would beat y'all too.
Do you honest to God believe?
Yes, and I'll explain why. I'll explain why.
Go ahead.
What happened in that game when they played Georgia? What was significant in that game?
Lincoln.
No. The Georgia Alabama the championship.
Changing of the quarterback at halftime.
I think that OU allows Jalen Hurts to stay in that game, and Tua never comes in, and we beat them in a shootout.
It wasn't gonna be no shootout. That defense was lights out.
Hold on a minute. Hey, you realize who was on that Oklahoma offense before you start saying any of this stuff?
Yeah, that's
Georgia's defense was lights out, and they put 50 on them. What are you talking about?
What they put against us?
I'm telling you,
we was good, but we wasn't lights out though.
Come on. Y'all were number 2 in the country that year. Number 2 in the country behind Clemson. I've already looked it up.
Oh, hey, man. I just tell you, 2021, 2022, 2023 probably was better defenses than 2017.
I'm just telling you, you were number 2 in the country.
Right.
You had better offense. You had better offense that year.
I got you.
That was Nick Chubb and
Sony Michel. Fucking Sony Michel gives me bad dreams to this day.
And the true freshman quarterback and a whole bunch of athletes at wide receiver, but no true receivers.
But again, the defense that y'all.
But yeah, that was good. That was good.
Look, Oklahoma. That was the one year they were big enough to be able to play with you guys, though. That's the other thing. Remember what I told you guys the last couple of years? What did I say? They got smaller and weaker and softer every year that Lincoln was there.
I'm trying to remember.
It was still all Bob Stoops' recruits, big guys. They were doing things still Stoops' way. The only thing they needed from Lincoln was the offensive thing. And he was great at that part. But it
was the
on the squid kick so much, but it was he took his foot off the gas. And once Georgia got you know how momentum gets. When Georgia got any kind of momentum, it was over.
I think that Oklahoma's entire starting offense, outside of one injury to Rodney Anderson, is in the NFL or played in the NFL.
That's right. Trent.
Trent
wasn't on that one. That was it was
that was Zeus. That was Orlando Brown.
Orlando, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Cody Ford, Ben Powers.
Yes.
Creed Humphrey wasn't
Didi on that team? Was it Didi and CD?
Didi Hollywood, CD, Andrews, Baker Mayfield.
Bro, that was the one.
Anderson,
I'm not saying they guaranteed would have won it. They had a team to win it, though. The rest of those years that they went to the playoffs, they didn't.
No, because
and that includes the first time when they went up against Clemson, they got battered.
That was because Shawty was at defensive end. I was at defensive tackle. Coach was at linebacker. That's what our defense looked like.
Yeah, me playing. Right.
Now, if memory served me correctly,
I was the island corner.
What's I'm trying to remember guys running back name. I think his name was Anderson.
Rodney Anderson.
That was
225 in the game.
Yeah, and 225. Do you honest to God believe that he was going to run the same way against Alabama? If Nick Chubb
why would you think they would need to run the football like that? When they got CD and Dede Westbrook and Baker Mayfield and Mark Andrews. Are you insane? They weren't going to try to run the ball.
we got Minka in the backfield. We got Levi on one side. We got Trayvon Diggs on the other side.
You're gonna shut down.
We have two first team All Pros.
You weren't gonna shut
in the backfield. I haven't even moved up front yet.
Brinsky, they had All Pros all over the Oklahoma offense too.
Don't let me talk about ours. Those guys were just freshmen.
Oh my God. I'm telling you, you're acting like it's a foregone conclusion.
The Cowboys got a fat check.
Bama has lost in the national championship game more than twice, even.
Say what?
Yeah, and
Bama has lost national championship games multiple times. They could have lost that one too.
Shoulda, coulda, but we didn't.
True.
I'm telling you that what happened with look, absolutely, Lincoln pissed down his leg. And they lost it. I'm not making excuses. I'm telling you, That was the one year they had the talent to win it all. Georgia was not in the game until they let them back in the game.
And hold on a second. I'm looking at a stat here. So the game leaders on offense for Alabama in the national championship game against Georgia.
Before we go there, yes, he took his foot off the gas. He made a bad decision, but y'all didn't let us back in the game. Y'all just couldn't stop our offense.
Oh, that's
where I was going to go to.
It would have never mattered if he would have done the right thing. It would have never mattered.
Y'all didn't. Y'all were not going to stop Sony Michel.
I'm just saying, like, y'all wouldn't let them.
We stopped him in the first half. What did they do in the first half?
No, y'all didn't, dog. No, y'all did not stop him in the first half. We had more rushing yards than y'all, by the way.
What was the score at the half, Coach?
It was 31-20.
Because y'all was scoring. Y'all scored a lot in the first half, so they stopped running the ball.
As soon as they
just because you outscore us,
just
because you outscore us doesn't mean you was.
Coach, I was going to say, I remember exactly what happened too, just like you do. The momentum was definitely in the favor of Oklahoma.
I didn't say it wasn't in the favor of y'all. I didn't say that.
When you let your
foot off the gas, jamboree, you don't play 2 quarters.
Right, you play 4 quarters, dog. Or sometimes overtime, dog.
Listen, I get it. I'm telling you that when you take your foot off the gas, you get beat. I know that. I understand that. When you have that opportunity, there's no reason why you should ever do a squib kick, and why that was so dumb. But I'm not even blaming it on. I'm just saying there was multiple things that he did that if you don't do one of them, you win the game.
By the way, I'm going to give you guys credit.
When you take away a negative for your team, you have to take away a negative for the other team as well. You can't just take away a negative for your team and say, okay, we take away this negative, then this is how it's going to go. The law of averages balances out. If you take away a negative for Oklahoma, you have to take away a negative for Georgia. So it's like,
I'm with you. They lost. They got beat. I'm just all I was saying. I'm not even saying that I'm not saying they got screwed. I said they have the team to win the whole thing that year. They could have won it just as easily as you guys could have won it, and you guys were.
Which is to Brisky's point of underachieving.
That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
One time.
But y'all made it to the playoffs, and y'all had the number one. Y'all had 3 Heisman winners and 3 like number 1 picks or whatever, and y'all still.
And that was the only time that we were big enough to match up with Georgia, or Bama, or LSU, or Clemson. That was the only time.
And I'll just run into this too. Is I mean the LSU year, it didn't matter. Like that team overachieved. We didn't underachieve. We shouldn't have been there.
I would give y'all that. I wasn't even talking about that one.
That was a buzzsaw, and that was
Mario Cristobal bagging his ass off at Oregon and not getting into that one.
Yeah.
It was that was a team that probably shouldn't have been there, because I mean, when we had Brendan Rayleigh Hiles or Bookie on the field ever, and if you ever watched highlights of that, you'll learn who our safety was. His name was Justin Broyles, and he's still chasing Justin Jefferson. So it was just.
I want to correct the stat earlier, y'all. We might have total defense. We might have been ranked higher than Alabama, but to Brinsky's point, he said y'all wasn't gonna run on them. They were the number 1 rushing defense. We were the number 20 rushing defense in 2017.
That's all I'm saying.
And total and scoring defense is what I was
saying. Right. But, we like total and scoring. We might have been, but he was saying that y'all wouldn't have ran for the 242 that we allowed y'all to run for.
But I will say this. So like I said, I'm looking at the stats right now. Like Tua threw for 166 yards. Najee Harris, 64 yards. Devontae Smith was the leading receiver for 41 yards. And Georgia outperformed Alabama on offense in that game. It was just turnovers from
a lot of that stuff. We didn't do nothing in the first half. A lot of that stuff came in the second half.
Well, right, Georgia. That's why Tua didn't have a lot of yards, because Tua didn't come into the third quarter.
Tua didn't come into a halftime. He got his because
we had Jalen on lock because
it's not a jamboree. You don't play 2 quarters.
Right. We could stop his. That's what Brisky is saying. While Georgia was able to corral Jalen Hurts you guys probably wouldn't have been, because we saw what Nick and Sony was doing on the defense. I mean, and Jalen was a great runner. I don't know.
The whole point that we're trying to make, though, is that this is why I can say just what Sooner Cowboys is saying. Thank God Lincoln Riley is at USC.
Well, that too.
They were never going to get to where, if they're going to win a national championship, it'll be because of BV and who they're recruiting and they're going to have the guys that can play that. The secondary and on the D line, that's what you got to do.
Okay.
And in the line, I mean, every level of defense.
Let me ask you this one thing. Since we on this topic, I said y'all underachieved. I want to see will you be honest. Now, I have never asked an Oklahoma fan this, and I want you to be honest today. In 2004, when you guys played in the national championship game against USC, did you guys deserve to be there, or Auburn deserve to be there?
That was Cardell. That was Cardell and Ronnie Brown. That was Cardell and Ronnie Brown, right? Cadillac.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They shared the championship.
They won the SEC.
Hey, I just think this. I think that game snowballed. OU absolutely collapsed in that game. But I think that USC. I think that USC is like
Cowboys.
I think that there's plenty of reason to say that they should have. The BCS fucked that up, not Oklahoma. You know.
Yeah.
I would just say that USC team. I mean, that's like that LSU team. That was just an all-timer. And, I believe that we were either up or we were tied. And then we forced a 3-and-out. And it was right in front of me. I was sitting there, and Mark Bradley went back and touched a punt ill-advisedly, and they took the ball at the 2-yard line.
I was at that game. I was at that game covering it. Yeah,
an avalanche. That's the biggest avalanche game I've ever seen in college football.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know how it does happen like that, particularly with these defenses. That I mean, you have something that happens like the LSU year, the year that LSU won it. You know, when they beat Oklahoma. Oklahoma probably shouldn't have been in that championship game either. They got their ass handed to them in the Big 12 championship game by Kansas State.
I'm about to rub some salt in. Lincoln Riley worst call in the Georgia game was the squib kick right before halftime.
Yeah, that's what they were talking about. Yeah, that's what they were talking about.
Shit ever. I want to kill
or the 4th and 1. You give Baker the ball on a 4th and 1 to make
somebody said that a second ago too. How do you not give the ball on 4th and 1 to Baker right there?
They gave it to a guy who had the ball. He was like 120 pounds. Roquan almost decapitated that dude.
Coach Baker was sick all that week. I mean, but once in that he ran out of gas, but he didn't run out of gas till it got to freaking overtime. It just there was. I hate Lincoln Riley for that game. I hate it.
That's what I said. If it's anything in life, I can guarantee you hate that man.
For sure.
Definitely.
I'm over him.
I tell you what, I'm have said this a million times, and I'll say this is 1,000,001. Thank God he's at USC, because even if he stays another year, I don't know what happens this year coming up. They're in position to be able to compete in this league. They would not have been otherwise.
No.
And who's to say how long it would have taken to do it? Because if you go in and you do what I feel like they're trying to have Oklahoma do, which is get smoked for the first 2 years, a la giving Texas the cake schedule.
Hey, man. All these excuses in the comments is proven.
So what's OU pole position right now in the league? If you had it.
What do you mean? What
pole position means? Like where would they rank? No, where would they where would you put them right now? Pole position, like where you started. Like right now, if you had to go 1 through, ain't that what you're saying, started 1 through 16? Where would they?
Yeah.
Where would they be right now?
Right.
They're definitely in the top 5 and maybe top 3-ish. Anyway, I do think they're in the top 3. Actually, I think they're in the top 3. I think they got to prove that, though. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's a lock, but where I think they are on defense, I don't see why you can't go 10-2 and or 9-3, 10-2. I don't see why you can't. Now, I've said this a bunch too lately that I ain't gonna be the one to write off Alabama. I'm not writing them off. I'll tell Texas to suck it. They're not doing shit. But I'm not writing off Alabama. Are you crazy? Kalen DeBoer's, how many years has he been a coach? 9 years?
9, something like that. Sooner Cowboys said it was a walk-on. Baker was a walk-on. Oh, yeah. Hey, man, you still should have won, man. You won the Heisman. If he was at Georgia, he would have won because we win.
He walked on twice. Baker walked on twice and was a 3-time Heisman finalist.
Hey, we win with walk-ons.
Yeah.
The light shines on the dog ass.
I like
back to back with that walk-on. Back to back.
Yeah, that walk-on had a defense on the other side.
That's why. That's the part you don't want to.
Okay, so when did Alabama win a championship without a defense?
Absolutely, they don't.
Didn't Coker win a championship?
That was a legendary defense too.
Right. So it don't matter.
Look at the start.
What team has won a national championship without elite talent?
No. You compare. No, Jake Coker and Stetson Bennett are two different people.
Okay, so listen. You say the first one he won because of the defense. I'll give you that. He turned around and did it again.
TCU, bro.
They needed it.
No. We not. Come on, dog. You beat Notre Dame in 2012. Come on. We not going. We
ain't gonna act like Notre Dame won undefeated.
TCU.
No, they wasn't.
They only lost one game, but they played more games than Notre Dame did.
Oh, here we go. Now we're gonna get it.
We really want to get into that one.
Yeah. I'm just saying. This is what I'm saying. You said Stetson had a good defense. Every quarterback y'all have had has had a good defense. It doesn't matter who it was.
Yeah.
So that's not an excuse.
No. I'm not even calling that an excuse.
Freaking Matt.
But we compared Jake Coker and Stetson Bennett. No, Stetson Bennett was a way better player.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. He was a good player. I think people.
I'm just saying.
Yes,
only thing
we had a legendary defense, but I think Stetson came back in 2022 and showed it wasn't no fluke. He did it without the legendary defense.
Okay,
we ain't gonna act like that team.
We had a good defense, but it wasn't 2021, right? It wasn't 2021. That's what I'm saying.
Man was invited to the Heisman ceremony.
Right.
I don't know why. Now that I don't know why.
He threw for over 4,000 yards. No, what we talking about here?
I still don't know why. I don't know why, man.
Don't hate on Stetson, dog.
No, man. We on Stetson. I'm not worried about it.
He beat CJ Stroud.
No.
Yes, he did.
The kicker. The kicker messed up that game.
Hey, it don't matter.
I'm gonna tell you right now. I said this a million times. I watched it. My cousin is a big Ohio State fan. To watch him.
Oh, you must love that guy.
I think no. I think when he missed the kick,
they might be the only fans that are more annoying than like Okie Light or Texas fans. They might be the only ones. Ohio State fans.
Ohio State.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Oh my God. I thought he was about to cry.
Are awful.
But I already told Georgia. I have never told nobody, congratulations, you're national champs. That was the national championship game that night. Whoever played TCU was going to destroy them. I don't even know why.
For Michigan.
Right.
Michigan.
Except for Michigan, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's how we said about it. That's exactly what we said about the 2012 SEC championship. We was like, whoever won this game was going to the daddy.
Felt about Notre Dame.
We're gonna beat Notre Dame to sleep.
Whoever played
and
Notre
y'all
Dame
went out there and beat them to sleep.
I know, and I'm glad you brought up that SEC championship game. Thank God he caught that ball.
Damn, bro.
But that wasn't even the problem, Gretzky. The problem was Aaron Murray is running down the field yelling. I mean, he's signaling to clock the ball, but I don't know, Bobo Mortrick, somebody told him to run the play like clock the ball.
Man, that was the most beautiful thing in the world because I've seen that play 1,000 times, but the most memorable thing is you watch Mortrick's face and then you just see Kirby jump up on CJ Mosley like, thank God for tipping that. And he caught it. All he had to do is let it hit the ground. Oh my God.
But he a receiver, dog. Like Shawty tell you, hey man, the ball coming to you, you catch it. At least you try to.
When we have a super chat, we stop for the super chat. Neil, thank you for the super chat. Hey fellas, hope you're having a great show. Thank you, Neil. We are. It's been fun. We're busting Brinsky's chops now. I started, and now Coach I's all over him. So
no. We had to talk about things that I am so grateful for. I am so grateful for that play.
Okie Light was talking a bunch of crap about their softball team. They just went down in the first 2 games of the College World Series.
Oh yeah. Shout out, hey man, I'll take time to shout out the Dogs, man. Dogs hosting a regional in baseball and won the first round, taking down Army.
That's awesome.
Hey, ugly win, whatever. Survive in advance, baby. Survive in advance.
Oklahoma beat ORU as well. So it was a good
Alabama in it too. We going for the natty.
Hey,
if the Oklahoma softball team, I mean, look, they're gonna win.
They're the standard.
Right.
They're the standard.
I mean, come on, bro. Water's wet, the sky's blue. Stop with it.
They're number 2, and Texas should win it, but they're already making excuses why they can't because it's in Oklahoma.
If our baseball pitching could just be average or better throughout this, then we have a chance to win because our offense.
So much for that home field advantage shit for freaking Oklahoma State. 0-2 and out.
All right.
Clown that guy is. That Mike White dude's a clown. Yeah. He bitched immediately. Before he left Austin, he made an excuse to not come back with the title.
So, hey fellas, it's been real. I gotta get out of here.
You too, man.
Yeah, I didn't want to come up here and say that
all because of Shawty.
Shawty started this shit and it went an hour and a half longer than we expected it to. No, we love Shawty in here anyways, man. Good stuff. We're just fucking with you. Because you know why? It's better. It's easy. We can talk shit and you're gonna be on delay. So we're gonna watch you.
Right.
Right. I didn't realize that he is on delay.
He's on delay.
Right.
It's you ask him a question and you got to wait 15 seconds and then he hears it. So that was
Listen, I was on my best behavior tonight. I've been chilling in pocket.
This is for Joe Quesada.
The brand has finally returned. Fuck your brand.
All comes down to pitching. Hey guys, thanks everybody for coming in. Coach I, FanAttic Sports. Hey, tell everybody how to find you. I'll start with you and we'll let Shawty go next and then Brinsky, and then we'll be out.
That's right, man. FanAttic Sports on YouTube, FanAttic Sports on IG, Twitter, and Facebook. Y'all go subscribe. These fine young men will be a part of the Saturday Night Snap Count as we always do during football season. We're getting started early this year, June 22nd at 9 p.m. Y'all make sure y'all be there live, show up, wear your colors, all of that good jazz. FanAttic Sports, man. Go subscribe to the channel, man.
Shawty.
Yeah, man, you can find me damn near wherever you can find Coach at, all on the FanAttics, all that good stuff. You got me on Just My Damn Opinion on YouTube Wednesday nights at 9:30 for sure. If you want to just come check out some, some wild stuff, man, just being in a safe space and just be you, check me out on Wednesday nights, YouTube, 9:30, Just My Damn Opinion. Also, Docking and Jock on Tuesday nights at 7. And you find me at Jason's spot sometime too. I'll be all over the place.
And 365 convo with Shawty and the Coach I.
Yeah, man. Hey, I tell you, these are two of the hardest workers in YouTube right here that are in here in the house. Hey, listen, honestly, this is the working crew is right here in here, and then same with Coop and Jay. They put it out all the time. This is one thing. If you guys, I always say this. I have the best freaking guests on my show. Brinsky, tell them how to find you too. We got to get you to 500. You 14 away, 13 away,
12.
Come on, let's get that.
Hey, let's get it up.
Oh yeah, man. Well, I'm Brinsky Sharp of the Sharpshooters Podcast. We drop it every Wednesday. I think we're gonna have a special live this week for the NBA Finals preview. Like I said, trying to get to 500 subscribers. So everybody that's not subscribed, you can just come on over and subscribe so we hit that 500 mark. I told my wife we're gonna hit it this weekend. Don't make me look like a liar.
Hey,
in Boston in 6.
Yeah. At Brinsky, hey, at the Sharpshooters Podcast. They talk about a lot. They talk about a lot of different stuff. It's a kind of that barbershop show. Love it. And again, I was on with Shotty the other night, man. That conversation went in a direction. It was fun.
I caught a little bit of that, man.
Just my damn opinion is a trip. Just my damn opinion is a trip. I love the show.
Us alpha males love that show.
Indeed. It was a trip. But yeah, guys, make sure you get in there if you're not a subscriber to any of these channels, please get over there and do that and help Brinsky get to that number. It's a Friday night. We should be able to get him there no later than Sunday. Let's do that. Let's do that for him. And yeah, hey guys, we're going to be back on Monday morning. We'll be talking about quite a few things. I'm sure we'll pop up and see kind of what happens with it. But hey, I appreciate everybody coming in. It was a good conversation. I love it when we get a little heated and talk about a lot of different stuff. We actually had a lot of good stuff to talk about tonight. You know, the games that are coming up for this year. If you were watching this on replay, let us know what you think are going to be some of the best games of the college football season coming up.
And who the contenders in the Big 12.
Big 12, SEC. Hey, look, yeah. Who's going to win the SEC? Who's going to win the Big 12? Who's going to and what are the best games for the year for you? And how do you see them turning out? Let us know. You know, we're going to start doing some call-in shows in the mornings, but I'm excited, man. And man, what is it? 92 days until college football, until SEC football. Anyway.
Thank God.
Which is college football.
That is college football at its finest. No cap SEC. Thanks for coming in and meeting us up here tonight. We'll see you all in the next one. Oh, shoot, I hit the wrong one.